Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 325 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the old Barstool Sports podcast family. What's going on, everybody? A little over halfway through the season. We got a fire in this week. We got a goalie controversy up north, but our attention is actually on the NCAA tournament right now. We are in the running for Bitcoin. I still really don't know what it is, but we're in the hashtag Barstool Bracket Busters. We won our first round game with UCLA, UCLA the other night. Gee, let's go to you first. How you doing, buddy? First off, maybe you can explain a little bit more about this.
Well, I'm doing fantastic because we dropped some new hats in the Barstool Sports store today. You're wearing an RA. I myself am wearing it. Ryan now has it on as well. Shout out to you, Biz.
Legit.
My
And
salad's too nice right now. I can't be throwing that lid on. But it is a
we
nice
are
lid.
we are in the Barstool Bracket Blockers tournament, though. We have UCLA. We picked them. I picked them for the playing game. It was either UCLA or Michigan State. They advanced, so we could win a Bitcoin. I'm super excited.
Is it winning a Bitcoin, or are we splitting, like, how's this work? Is it one Bitcoin for every person at Barstool who wins, or is it one for each, like, group? And
I
then
think
they
we're
split
splitting a Bitcoin.
I think it's
between like 10
split
people.
coin.
So if it's, so 12 people we're gonna get like $1,000 each.
Good joke, RA. I
A
like it.
grand to you, it might not be a grand to me. A grand is still a lot of money.
No, I mean, even if we're splitting it like 8 different ways, it's still a lot of money. I think it's at like 60 grand right now. We tried to get into Bitcoin when we had,
You're at 60 grand.
Okay, we had Caleb Presley on. And he was trying to describe Bitcoin. We don't have the slightest clue as to what's going on with it. So
Yeah, not to ruin the interview, but I'm pretty sure every single dollar he has is in Bitcoin. Is that what he said? So he's either just a step ahead of the game, or he's just going to be dirt poor.
we were talking about it. Whit can't even spell the thing properly. Smell it, Jesus. Spell.
Why? What do you mean? BITCOIN.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think online you're spelling it separately. I think it's one word, like together.
Is it?
Yeah, right. All right.
Yeah. And
Since it's a Bitcoin, not a bit like of a coin.
Yeah.
like bit of honey.
My grammar. I mean, listen, if you're gonna come at me like a grammar police,
And
I don't have much.
KFC's like, the millionaires at Chiclets. I'm like, me and Granelli didn't get the memo about being millionaires at Spittin Chiclets, so I'm not sure what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
right. You probably got $1 million cash underneath your mattress in your fucking bedroom.
Back in the old days, maybe. But anyways, that's, of course, Whit and Biz. Whit, looks like you're back on homeland.
Yes, I'm back in Massachusetts. Disney World, guys. It was great. Ryder had a hell of a time. First day. We got up Monday. My alarm was set at 6:30. I slept in the living room because the baby hasn't been sleeping, and then the bed was too soft in the main room. So I'm sleeping in the living room couch. My alarm goes off at 6:30. It's pitch black, Biz. There is not one bit of sunshine outside. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this to go to Disney World. It's like not getting up to play a sick track. It's not getting up, for a big hockey
Not for
tournament.
yourself. It's for the kids.
It was for Disney. So we got over there real early. There's already like 15,000 people in there when the park opened, 7:45, 8, whenever that was. We go right to the one ride. We went to first day we went to Magic Kingdom, and then the other day we went to Animal Kingdom. First day went from like 7:30 to 2, and the Wednesday we went from about 7:30 to like 4. Ryder was buckled at the end of these days, just absolutely exhausted. I'm waking this kid up after a 2.5-hour shutdown in the afternoon. Like, dude, let's go down to the lazy river. He loved the lazy river. So it was an awesome trip. It really was. I played golf, played nice, won a bunch of money. Thank you. And I would more than anything like to say I am very happy to be home because you miss your friends. I had to get back in my life. I had so much mail. So many bills to pay. They all stacked up quick when you're gone 7 weeks. Who would have guessed it? Maybe it's time to turn auto pay on. But I'm rambling. I'm excited to see you guys, excited to talk. And hopefully we can get 1/8 of a Bitcoin. I'm watching the game right now. So if reactions, Abigail Christian, if we can't beat Abigail friggin' Christian, we have no business having a 1/12 of a Bitcoin.
Abigail, that's great. Biz, what's new with you, buddy?
Whit, you didn't have time to stop in South Beach, given all the festivities that are going on down there right now?
What do you mean?
Oh my! All right, you had to have seen this stuff going on down there. I think they had to shut down South Beach during South Break because it's been such mayhem.
South Break? Why? Spring break? It's just going. Oh, I haven't seen any of that.
I call it South Break.
South Break.
Yeah,
that's right. I call it the weather time.
I collabed it. That's what it should be called now. after what's been going on down there.
South broke.
I mean, we all know that like in Florida, COVID didn't even exist, but basically like it turned into 11 strip
Well,
clubs.
everyone's been locked inside for a year. What do you think's happening right now as life's coming back a little bit? People are losing it.
That's true.
When it is like bars are completely open again, like Massachusetts, you still can't do anything. But when the whole country is pretty much open again, it is going to be a party unlike anyone on earth's ever seen. Maybe when was Prohibition?
Oh, shit. What was that?
When did that end? The 30s?
RA, you weren't alive during Prohibition.
The Roaring
I ain't that
20s,
fucking
baby.
old. Yeah. Was it? Yeah, I forget.
So we can't talk to any
Late teens?
guys and gals that really enjoyed themselves with each other post when booze was allowed again.
Now, speaking of big news, though, I'm hearing, at least on Twitter, so it has to be true, that Britney Spears is going to be interviewed by Oprah soon. Now,
wow.
I will be clearing my schedule. If it's a podcast day, we're going to have to bump it back because probably, would you consider her the best interviewer of our generation, RA?
I don't know, man. She never asked.
Thanks,
She never asked how somebody gained weight the way Larry King did to DJ Khaled. That was friggin'
That's
awesome.
true. He got right to the point. Yeah, he did get right
How'd
to
you
the
gain
point.
all the weight? Oprah is an animal, though. She is like every time you're almost more interested in what she's going to ask.
Yeah.
At least when I was watching the Prince and the Meghan Markle clown show in recent interviews she had, Oprah's top notch.
I haven't watched that. Did you end up watching that whole ordeal?
I didn't see all of it. Oh, were you asking RA?
Whit's playing the role of RA right now.
Because I saw RA, you tweeted something about it, so I figured that you'd watched it.
Oh yeah, like everyone was so shocked. Like Meghan Markle said that they treated her in a racist manner. It's like, yeah, you mean the monarchy that's enslaved millions of people over the last 2,000 years and invaded 150 planets? Really, those people aren't that nice. You're shitting me. Countries, I'm sorry. Yeah, you might have them planets. Those British are pretty.
South break and aliens going to other planets.
Yeah, we're all over the fucking map.
You guys are nuts.
But then Prince Willie and his wife tweet out like "Happy St. Patrick's Day" to our friends in Ireland. It's like, motherfucker, you haven't fucked with anyone more than you fuck with the Irish, and you're gonna like rub it in and wish them Happy St. Patty's Day. I was all
get
over
your
them
green
for that.
dye. We're cool now, right?
Yeah, it's like go fuck yourself, you two. But as far as Oprah, yeah, she may be the best interview of her generation. Obviously, 60 Minutes has quite a lineup, quite a crew. I know she's a little bit more the celebrity type, but she's damn good at what she does. And yeah, the ratings for that, the interviewing the Prince and Princess there, whatever, it's absolutely through the roof. I mean, there's such an appeal to that in this country for whatever reason. I think it's just the whole Princess thing just still appeals to people in a lot of ways. But her and Britney, dude, that would be a huge get, man, because no one's really sat down and talked to her. You see how she got treated in interviews 20 years ago, and I think we'd see a different can of worms this time around.
Free Britney.
Free Britney is right.
Biz, how
there was
how
actually
intimidated would you be if you were going to sit down with Oprah for an interview? Because there's kind of a hard hitting question coming. Like I would be very, very freaked out before I sat down with Oprah.
Ryan,
can I get a list?
Oprah, you want to smoke?
Why can't you hit a putt in the sandbaggers?
And there's somehow they have music pumping in from like the garden that I'm doing the interview in. Dun dun dun.
There was another wild story out there that some guy, I want to say it was in Connecticut, went to a yard sale, ends up getting this like old white bull, and it was a 14th century, or from the 1400s at least. It was
1400s in Southbreak.
What do you mean? Is that how you say it? The 1400s?
The 1400s?
Well, 1400s.
It's the 1400s.
Shut up. Anyway, it was from the 1400s. And I think he bought it at the yard sale for $35 and went and brought it to an appraiser and ended up selling at an appraisal for, I think, $725,000.
No.
Yeah, it's a story in the news.
$35,
like a kitchen bowl. Like
it was like there was only 7 ever made, and somehow it ended up at this yard sale in Connecticut, and it ended up selling. There's a big article on it. And do you ever watch those shows where they appraise things, and sometimes they land flat, and it's just like, oh, I don't know, like my mother's mother bought these earrings, and here they are, and then it's like, oh, these are actually some princes or princesses, and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden it's just like this crazy valuation. They sold it at auction. It went for just over $700,000. And this
Storage
guy,
Wars is
story.
Yes,
Yes,
I love that show.
Yep, great.
Yeah,
great.
You wonder how much other shit is just out there randomly in basements and attics and fucking those storage facilities or whatever. I don't know. I throw all my shit out, so I don't have.
Did you see that scumbag geek Ravel? What he tweeted to the person, Darren Ravel? Like somebody tweeted, like, "Oh, my dad passed away, and we found his old cards in the basement." And the girl takes a picture of like all the old cards her now deceased father had. And Ravel tweets at the guy, "All those are junk. They're not worth anything."
He's such a
He
dork
is literally
weasel.
one of the biggest losers, and one of the biggest losers I've never met. Let's put it that way.
I would love to meet him just for the intrigue of having an actual conversation. So I'm going to read you this quick headline here. It says it was actually the 15th century, which might mean the 1400s.
Yeah,
right?
that 15th century is the 1400s.
Always a year behind. Go a year behind the century to the 1400s.
15th century bowl bought for $35 at yard sale resells for $722,000. The small white bowl, adorned with cobalt blue paintings of flowers and other designs, is one of only 7 such bowls known to exist in the world. It was in Hartford, Connecticut. I just found that. Imagine going to buy something for $35 and
how mad would you be?
Yeah,
if you sold it.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah, I would be pissed.
That
would be like the guy who sold the lingerie, Victoria's Secret, and next thing you know, it was $1 billion company. I think he ended up committing suicide, and I learned that in the movie The Social Network.
Jesus, pack that bowl. All right, we should mention our guest last episode. We were a little late on that. We're going to get to him a little bit later, but we have Colorado Avalanche forward Nazem Kadri. Had a great chat with him, and we also have Florida Panthers legend, #1 overall pick, Ed Jovanovsky, the old Jovo cop. Quite the character. It was a great chat with him, but we'll get to that stuff later. First off, now that the nice weather is back, you're going to have to find your shot, and what better way to do that than with Pink Whitney? From January 1st through March 26th, right around the corner now, we're giving Chiclets fans a chance to win a custom Pink Whitney shot machine. All you have to do is post a picture of you and your Pink Whitney, and if you're in the United States, use the hashtags, #Pink Whitney, #Take Your Shot, #Sweepstakes. If you're in Canada, use #Pink Whitney, #Take Your Shot, and #contest. We'll be picking winners from the U.S. and Canada every other week, so make sure you get creative with your submissions and, of course, enjoy responsibly.
Let's do it. We got the new Mickeys and the mini Mickeys coming out. Those will eventually make their way to Canada. Obviously, there's a little bit of a longer process. So tons of new product innovation. Of course, the people who are the hardcore submitting stuff are going to be able to win. I've been getting tons of texts about getting these shot machines. We're going to ask Gallo in New Amsterdam if they can make more so we can give them away to bars and other people. But as of right now, they're only for contest winners. So keep submitting your awesome posts, and we'll keep clicking away here.
There you go. I mentioned Canada, Biz, the North Division. That's where all the action is for some reason. Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Montreal, the top 4 right now. You got Vancouver just 2 points back, Calgary just 4 points back. But Toronto is always the big news. Right now, they had a little bit of a stumble, lost 6 out of 7, but then Jack Campbell come in, shut the Flames out Saturday. I think we got a goalie controversy is what they call it. Freddie Anderson's been stumbling quite a bit. He's been feeling the heat. His goals against his last 5 starts, 3, 5, 3, 4, 4. Not going to win a lot of NHL hockey games with that. 13, 8, and 2 in the year with an 8.97 save percentage, 2.91 goals against. Biz, did the Leafs make a goaltender move or what?
Listen, we're not doing this. Leafs Nation, we're not doing this halfway through, okay? It's not always going to be smooth sailing.
Stop
and for those
it, guys.
Of you who
Don't do this.
Hey, and for those of you, you work for the Coyotes. You don't bleed blue. I don't bleed blue. When I was a kid, I'll never forget my parents got me that leather Toronto Maple Leafs hat. I got it in my stocking stuffer. I went to the Penn Center in St. Catharines to get Doug Gilmour, Killer's autograph. I waited in line for hours. I bled blue as a kid. That's where I come from, folks. Well, in Ontario.
That's your club. Like when you were 9 years old watching the Leafs, it was your literal dream to maybe play for them.
100%. Either them, Buffalo, or Montreal, because I got family there too. But whatever.
Anyone who would give me a paycheck, actually.
But listen, when I saw Gilmour get stuck by Gretzky and Fraser didn't call it, it hurt me just as much as it hurt you people listening that bleed blue also. Leave Dubas alone. He's going to figure things out. There's no goalie controversy. The reason they got Jack Campbell was just in case there was a little bit of a hiccup halfway through the year. And I don't think Anderson's 100% fully healthy right now. And yes, is he not where he needs to be? But you can't, Whit, we would agree, you can't be peaking halfway through the year. You want to peak right before playoff time, correct?
Yeah, Islanders fans are worrying about that. That's what I'm being told. They're worried. And when you look at Toronto, Biz, actually, go ahead, finish your thoughts, because I do want to address some things you're saying.
Well, listen, they got the goal support. They got secondary scoring right now. We got Spezza and Thornton butt chugging from the fountain of youth, who are playing unbelievable. I believe Spezza's in the top 5 right now in the entire league as far as points per 60 minutes. Okay. They got the back end. They addressed the defensive issues. Brody, what is it? TJ Brody or JT Brody? Either one, flip them around. They got Muzzin, who's been playing great. Riley's been playing like a stud this year. He's putting up a lot of points per game. He's basically the quarterback back there. Why are you giggling right now, Granelli?
Does anything in the world screw you up more than JT and TJ? I don't think you'll ever get someone's name right.
It doesn't matter how it's coming out. Everybody knows.
He was buzzing. Don't get in front of a runaway train. Keep going, Biz.
But like I said, I think right now the one thing that they are missing is another piece. I know they got Galchenyuk in the lineup, who might have had a rough first game, but he did have an apple when they won 2-0 against Calgary, and Jack Campbell had his back-to-back shutout. He is going to hold the fort for now. I would believe on Thursday, Jack Campbell gets the start. So for those of you saying there is a goalie controversy, I think that he's going to probably take over for a little bit here till Anderson finds his game back. But if you go back to last year in playoffs, Anderson was not the issue. If you go back 2 years, Anderson wasn't the issue. 3 years ago, a little bit of a different story. I think he had a little bit of a meltdown, especially was it in Game 7 against the Bruins?
They've had some issues against the Bruins in the spring.
Yeah, he had, but the last 2 years he has not been the problem. They're going to be fine. I truly believe that they're going to make a big splash. Kyle Dubas said that any prospects basically on the table right now to make this move. Getting out of the North is going to be as easy of a playoff situation as they're going to find moving forward. I actually think that they might make a move for Taylor Hall. I think that they might get Taylor Hall. I can't see them adding another defenseman. I don't think there's
only if he was a righty.
What's that?
I think only if he was a righty.
Who?
I think if they got a defenseman, it would be a righty.
Which we know those don't even exist in the NHL anymore. There's like no right-handed defenseman, Whit. And if you look down the list right now, I've been hearing Ekholm's name a lot. Now, he's not an unrestricted free agent. He's got one
more year at a nice deal. They want a ton back for him.
Well,
like what Muzzin got back, what they got for Muzzin, same type thing.
Fair, but if you're going to make a big significant move and you're going to give up a lot, you might as well get a guy who you at least have for another year, who's a competent guy on the back end. Wouldn't even know what way Ekholm shoots. The only other names that can pop up that are competent defensemen that I think would be worth trading for is Edler, or did he end up resigning in Vancouver? I believe he's up. Dougie Hamilton's up, but I don't think that Carolina's moving him. I mentioned Goose and Jarmelson, who are with the Coyotes. I don't know. I think Jarmelson's got that championship pedigree. He's a good shutdown defenseman. Do I think it's what Toronto needs? No. I think once again, going back to it, I think Taylor Hall might be their answer.
Okay. A lot to unpack there. I mean, I'm not going to say there's a goalie controversy, but in a sense, like, they're just going to play whoever's better. If Campbell's playing well, if he goes on a run, dude, he'll be their goalie. I don't think it's like nowadays, man, like whoever's hot going into the playoffs. Look at Matt Murray and Fleury. It's like, I'm not at all comparing the situation for those types of goaltenders, but it's more like the Leafs don't care who gets the job done at this point. They just need goaltending. And Anderson has been bad. I really buried my team. We all know I'm a Leafs guy with Biz, but I said they were the class of Canada. They've gotten shit pumped like 6 of the next 7 games. Same way I dummied the Blackhawks. They stink now after I said they were decent. So I've just completely mushed my Toronto, my Blue Nation. But I don't know about Halsey. I mean, I think they'll definitely make a move. You say Dubas is all in, no doubt. But you got to think about like what they actually need. Like, where would Halsey play in the lineup? It's a team that I think is still the best team in Canada, but the way Edmonton's looked, it's not at all. Edmonton has switched their entire season around since they got embarrassed by Toronto, and Draisaitl had that quote like, yeah, we love not getting a point in 3 straight games. And since then it's completely switched. But I don't even remember what I was saying. I had something else about Toronto. My brain all over the place, still on the teacups.
Well, probably was for me ranting on about the Leafs and bleeding blue and kind of bringing it everywhere. The goaltending controversy, I wouldn't say it's a controversy yet. I think that Jack Campbell for sure gets the net back on Thursday, and if he keeps running away with it until Anderson's able to get the net back and find his game, it ain't going to flip back over.
And that's what it was. It was totally agreeing with you about this year. They got 2 rounds till they're going to have to play like Tampa, Boston. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going right back to the old division with those 2 teams next year. So it's like right now, this is their time. So in terms of like going all in, yes, they are.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Is this is going to be their easiest way to get to at least past the first round. Hasn't happened in 15 or 16 years. So a big splash is about to happen, and I believe in Kyle.
Come on, Leafs.
And now, and that's why they brought in Campbell, because we knew he's a competent backup. But now is he ready to take it on as a starter? I don't know.
And also, you can't mention the Leafs without mentioning Leafs Jr. out west in Van, who are just grabbing guys off waivers from the Leafs, VC and Boyd.
Yeah. Actually, I just want to mention, Biz, you did mention Anderson. He has been suffering a little bit with a lower body injury. It's been lingering. He didn't practice Monday. He's not expected Tuesday. So we do got to throw it in there. We don't know how hurt he is. He might be playing hurt, and that's probably affecting his play as well. I just don't want to throw the guy on the bus.
I think that's all of us getting caught up in Leaf drama, where it's like such a small sample size, and we're ready to, oh my God, goalie controversy. If it isn't one thing, it's another in Leaf Nation. But we're hook, line, and sinker on this podcast.
And Whit did mention Vancouver picked out Jimmy Vesey and Travis Boyd, who Toronto waived both of those guys. In Vancouver, they've gone on a nice little bend of themselves here. 8-2-1 to crawl right back into the race. Like I said, they're 2 points behind Montreal, although Montreal has a few games in hand. Thatcher Demko, absolutely on fire. His last 10 games, he's only given up more than 2 goals once. They have lost Elias Pettersson. He's gone to the long-term injury reserve with an upper body injury. He won't be back till the end of the month. But what have you seen out of Vancouver that you like?
The fact that they've done this without Pettersson is nuts, because he was really starting to get going, as the whole team was. But you got to bring up BC Thatcher Demko, Boston College. And the way he's played has been outstanding. So they're right back into the race. And then the guy that really Bo Horvath is such a leader. Like the way he plays the game, it's like the old school style hockey where he's so willing to do anything it takes to win, but he's also so good offensively. And I think he can get a little bit streaky. I don't see them play enough, but I know lately he's been awesome. And then Biz's TJ Miller. That goal he scored, that game in Montreal, he trucked Gallagher on a Peter Forsberg reverse hit, crushed him. He then scored one of the best OT game winners we've had this year with an unreal toe drag. It was actually Suzuki who's totally watching the puck. And I know it's so different now where guys don't get lit up coming across the middle, kind of with their head down a little bit. But he reaches for the puck and he gets made look foolish. And they own Montreal. I think, are they 3-0-3 against the Habs this year? If it's not that, it's close to that, where they've just done such a good job getting into the race. And you really got to wonder, they lost Markstrom and the season got off to such a weird start. And then boom, like any other team, you get some goaltending and you go. So I like watching them play. I hate their fans, but I love watching the team play.
Yeah. TJ Miller's been buzzing. And as far as offense is concerned, I mean, they don't have a ton of guys at the top of the lineup, but Brock Besser's had a great season. They also lost Tanner Pearson recently. He's out right now. I don't know how long he's going to be out. I don't see them as a playoff team, but the fact that they're working their bag off and playing as hard as they have for Travis Green to try to claw back into it, I think they've played a lot of games. They have a lot of they've played more games than I believe Calgary, about 4 or 5. So it's going to be tough to get it done. And I don't imagine Demko is able to sustain this. What has he got, a .950 save percentage in March right now?
Yeah, that's unsustainable, I think, for anybody, but he's doing it at the right time either way.
Yeah, exactly. And then I believe Elias Pettersson's set to come back at the end of March, you said?
Yes. Yep. He's not eligible to return until March 31st.
Yeah, that's a massive loss. So let's hope they can keep climbing, though. It's been a fun, entertaining team to watch as of late.
In Toronto, they are split in first place right now. Edmonton Oilers, they've been on a tear as well lately. They've won 3 in a row, 7 of their last 10. I mean, Connor and Leon, what more can you say about them? The two of them remain on fire. McDavid's got 21 goals. He's tied with Austin for the league lead. Leads the league in points as well, 60 points. 21 goals, 39 assists. But Mike Smith, the net, Biz, unbelievable. 11-3, dialing back the clock here. 2-3-4 goals against, 9.22 save percentage, 2 shutouts. Donnell Nurse, 10 goals as a defenseman. Barry's got 30 points. I mean, they're just getting contributions from all over. I know the depth might still be an issue, Biz, but Winnipeg on fire. I'm sorry, Edmonton on fire.
Edmonton, yeah. What a perfect fit for Barry. They just needed a offensive defenseman to be able to get those guys the puck and make plays at the level that they do. I think he's the perfect complement. As far as Darnell Nurse, Whit, I don't know how many Oilers games you've watched, but I would say now he's easily in the top 5, if not top 3 for Norris candidates.
He leads the league in 5-on-5 points by defenseman. He will beat the shit out of anyone, or at least go anyone. He's tough as nails. He skates like the wind. He is an awesome player, a guy that they've really needed to kind of take that next step, and he has. And I got to shout out Draisaitl and Connor or McDavid again, because they are the first 2 teammates to get to 50 points, first and second, quickest in the league. The first 2 teammates to do it 2 years in a row since Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito in the mid-'70s. So 2 years in a row to have 2 guys be the first to 50 points in the entire league, it just shows that this is next level Hall of Fame, super, super talent that needs to win a Stanley Cup, right? These guys, I truly believe both of them will. I don't know if it's this year. Maybe it is, dude, if they get hot. My buddy said to me, he's not even the biggest hockey fan the other day. He's like, man, just from gambling and watching them, like, they can score with anyone. I said, yeah, with those 2 guys, you can just get so hot any night. Darnell Nurse is great. Now, you talk about Tyson Barrie. From what I read, it's like now Oilers fans wanted a puck mover. They needed a puck mover. He's probably their best puck mover since Pronger in terms of, like, I had one season. Whatever,
I know where this is going.
No. Where is it? Oh, maybe tell me if this is where you think I'm going. Holy shit, Biz. You messed me up there. I'm a mush brain. My point is, they always wanted this puck mover. They needed this puck mover. Well, now they got him. And now it's being talked about him resigning and what he's going to get. And they're like, whoa.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Well,
so
I've also been hearing people say trade him because he's valuable right now. And I'm like,
it's like, you got the guy to run the power play with these 2. He's lighting it up. And yes, like everyone, the haters are like, his points are on the power play. It's a Whitney point. Pass it to Crosby, who passes it to Malkin goal. But I don't know, man. Like, he's getting the job done. And I don't see how you don't want to re-sign him. I mean, obviously, if the number's completely ridiculous, you don't. But, fuck, you got to pay for a guy who produces.
Hey, and I hate to shit on Edmonton because, I mean, we do it a little bit as far as the free agent pool is concerned. How many free agents who are competent are willing to go to Edmonton and play and snap it around with those guys? I mean, now that the fact that they have Draisaitl and McDavid, yeah, probably a little bit more interest, especially guys wanting to have a comeback season. But in my opinion, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
I got one right? Oh, fucking A. Old tire pump. Whit, you want to compliment me after you ditched on me there in the first?
Great job, Biz.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
But I'm happy for the Oilers, and I've seen Smitty go on a run like this. And there was even a highlight the other night when in Calgary, when things necessarily weren't going that great, and he likes playing the puck, and he would turn it over and then end up in the back of his net. Well, he threw a pizza the other night, set up his own highlight, ends up making a big save. And when things are going well for him, things are going well. So look out for the Edmonton Oilers right now. And I think there was a stat too. Connor McDavid tied with Sergei Fedorov the quickest to 60 points in the fewest amount of games since like 93 or something like that. So he is just on this incredible pace. And if there's one guy who was going to break the 100-point mark in a shortened season in 56 games, it was going to be that kid.
Yeah, it's been a treat to watch. It's great to be able to watch him, too. Monday night, we're recording on Monday, but Monday night, Winnipeg Jet Paul Stastny is scheduled to play in his 977th game, which would match his Hockey Hall of Fame father, Peter. They'd be the third father and son duel behind Gordy and Mark Howe and Bobby and Brett Howe in games played and points. So hats off to Paul. Obviously, 1,000 is down the road a little bit, but that's a cool little thing. But this was from Elliot Friedman with the other night after the Jets lost. I guess Blake Wheeler took the puck and threw it in the stands after the game, and they gave him a game misconduct for it. Have you ever heard of that? A guy chucking a puck like that and getting penalized?
No,
like that?
It was hilarious. I'd never heard of it. But quickly on Stastny, just wanted to say congrats to him. I mean, he goes back to Winnipeg this summer, and it's like he's been sick there this season. And that's a guy who even when he came into the league, wasn't the fastest player, but it's like hockey IQ. It's having a father who was a legendary player himself and an entire family, right? Uncles, and his brother was really good, but he's an awesome guy. He actually reached out and was looking for Keith's number. So I assume it was just to send him a congrats for 1,000 games, which is no surprise, but congrats to Stastny because that's an amazing accomplishment. The two families you're behind. It's like good for them.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
And Winnipeg's a team that I don't get to see them play much, but they're definitely overachieving this year. They have some guys on the back end who have really stepped up their game. I played with that Derek Forbert, and they really seem to be loving him. He's a very steady defenseman, a good top four. I would imagine that they probably look to re-sign him, and they're just getting contributions from what I think are probably one of the more underrated forward groups in the league. No? As far as Wheeler,
Scheifele's so good. He actually, I don't think he has a point in 3 straight. Tonight would be 4 straight. So he's gone somewhat cold, but what a season he's had. And Wheeler, he's getting older and still flies.
Yeah, Connor and Eel is too, man. I think people sleep on Winnipeg, man.
Yeah, they do. But Hellebuck, though, he's had a rough stretch these last 10 games. His numbers aren't great. So I think that there's like not something to worry there, but it is interesting to see like that guy's top goalie in the league, at least one of them. And for him to, completely be off his game for a 10-game stretch is a little surprising.
I don't think we mentioned Kyle Connor either. He's a fun player to watch. He's able to generate quite. Why are you guys laughing? Because you mentioned him?
Yeah. That's all right, buddy.
Well, I
said it briefly. That's all right.
I said his name briefly.
I know we're all thinking and doing things on the fly here.
Yeah, and the Hellebuck number I saw was he's allowed 3+ goals in 8 consecutive starts. So that's a little shocking for him.
Uncharacteristic is the word you're looking for.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Great word.
Buzzing.
I know it's been a tough year for Ottawa. We actually had a little bit of a feel-good story coming out of there, and it's kind of turned the other way. Joey Decourt, he became, like I said, a good feel-good story. He ended up getting into the Sens net. Matt Murray got hurt in warm-ups. Joey Decourt comes in, gets his first NHL win. He's a 7th-round pick. He gave a great, real tender, what's the word I'm thinking of, Biz?
Authentic.
Yeah,
heartfelt.
Heartfelt. There you go, G. There you go. A great heartfelt post-game interview that kind of went viral a little bit. He played at Arizona State, but unfortunately, he suffered a lower body injury last Wednesday versus Vancouver, and he's likely to miss the remainder of the season. It's just a tough break, man. Like I said, the kid's a 7th rounder. He gets a start because the guy gets hurt in warm-ups. Looks like he might take the net over for Ottawa, and then this happened. So we're wishing the best for Joey. I know
I saw the injury happen. I was like, oh no, it looked like he tore his ACL or something, but it ended up being a high ankle sprain. You said, right, Grinelli?
Yeah, they said high ankle sprain, probably done for the year.
Oh, and boy, sometimes those things can linger. I had a bit of it one time, and it lasted about a month. I've heard of guys doing it bad. I think Cal Clutterbuck did it bad one year, and he missed some significant time. And even when you come back and try to play through it, they say high ankle sprains are sometimes worse than a break.
Dude, the worst. That's what started everything for me.
Oh, really?
Playing handball. In the fall at BU, 1 day a week, you'd get up at like 6 a.m. No, 2 days a week before the season started, you get up at 6 a.m. One morning, you just play handball, like 45 minutes. You're running around the field, like acting. The other one would be a lift. And I jumped up. This is after I got drafted that summer. I was all pumped for sophomore. I jumped up in the air because I was being an athlete, going up for the handball, and I landed on the 3rd-string goalie. No offense, G. I landed on his ankle. And I rolled it, and that was it. And this thing was so banged up, dude. I came back. I'm like, oh, it feels good. 10 minutes into like the first skate, tweak, boom, done. Like, have to get off the ice. And then basically you're told, yeah, dude, as you come back from this, like, you're just going to have to deal with the tweaks. Like, until you have a legit off season, this will bother you. So that sucks because I'm like twitching right now, thinking back to the original ankle sprain. How things would be different. Kunitz wouldn't have 3 more. I'd have like 5. Fucking A. Ball at 6 a.m.
Blaming the 3rd string. Blaming the 3rd string.
I don't know what G was doing, but I landed on him. So maybe it was me. But
I had
stay away from the 5th overall pick when he's up in the air after the draft going into sophomore year.
Oh, I've heard some bad.
I love
even
you, G.
I stopped playing sewer ball because I heard about a couple bad injuries. which
Well, I never played, but yeah, guys were getting like knocked out and shit before NHL games playing through.
Sewer ball is that soccer game that you always see them playing. If you're watching Hockey Night in Canada, they're showing the guys in the hallway warming up before games. I played with a guy, Curtis McLean, in Wheeling, and he battled all the way up. He played Division II college, ended up playing in the Coast. I think he was at a point per game, might even made the all-star team. I made two, not a big deal. He got called up to the AHL, lit it up there, made the Islanders. And when he was playing with the Islanders, he ended up snapping his Achilles playing sewer ball.
That's how that happened to him?
Next thing you know, he ended up recovering and playing in Europe a little bit, but it was I felt so bad for the guy that the fact that he grinded his way all the way up to the top and then to sustain an injury like that probably set him back big time. So aside from that, RA, one team I think we had to cover was Calgary for sure, because I don't know how much we've talked about them since Sutter's taken over.
Yeah, I think they got a pretty good defensive bump when he come in. He obviously cleaned things up. He had them skating their asses off the first day. They're 4-2 in their last 6, but they're also the 6th team, in which basically a 6-team race right now. I think we can probably count Ottawa out. They do got a couple games in hand on Vancouver, but they just seem to need to get some consistent play. I mean, you take a look at their 2 goaltenders. Their numbers aren't spectacular, either Riddick or Markstrom. Markstrom had a nice little stretch earlier. He was hot as hell, but he's cooled off lately. I mean, I want to ask you, Biz, what does Calgary have to do to guarantee they get in the playoffs here?
Okay, so this is not coming off as critical, by the way, because I'll get to my point. I believe Monahan's got 2 points since Sutter's taken over, and Johnny Gaudreau might have 1. Johnny Gaudreau and Monahan, they've had 5 different coaches in their 8 years with the Calgary Flames. Whit, I've never had a coaching change other than when Dan Bilesma went up to Pittsburgh, but Todd Reardon took over, same exact philosophies, nothing really changed. There wasn't, anything drastic that happened. I don't know how many times in your career that you dealt with a changing of a head coach, especially now for them twice in the middle of the season, back-to-back seasons. Like this is it's a whole different philosophy and type of system and mindset. And that's got to be hard on these young guys, especially the top guys who have to produce offense while staying in this structured system.
I think it's totally different too, though, because when you get a new coach in, if he is on the more hard ass side, guys' assholes are puckering right up. You know what I'm saying? It's different because when you get a guy coming in, and I'm not saying when Ward came in, it's like, oh, this guy isn't we don't have to play hard for him. There's not a lot expected, but it's just different when the reputation comes in along with Daryl. It's like, I just think that guys are going to be more on their toes just because of what he's done in the past or willing to do. I think that the team, it's almost like they're not too far behind now to get in, but man, these teams are playing consistently so much better than they have. And yeah, 6 games, 4-2 is great. The good thing is they have 2 in a row against Ottawa. All right, where you're at with this many games left, I know the season's buzzing by. You got to beat Ottawa both games, right? They're in 6th right now. Yeah. Are they 5th or 6th? So
no, they're 6th with.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a lot of time here. So that's why the coaching change can be difficult. But I think when it's a guy who makes you a little bit more nervous, it's even tougher.
And speaking of coaching changes, I got a question for you because I got a text from Frank Bonomo, and he was telling me that when they fired Terrian, that morning, apparently he called you into his office and just laid into you. And then Frank Bonomo came up to you and said, hey, don't worry about that. They're actually getting rid of him later this afternoon. Did you remember that?
I don't know. I was that whole scenario and that moment in time in my life and what all happened is the craziest thing when I look back. And I'll briefly tell you I'll make a long story long. So we're in Long Island. I've been playing not very good, right? I'm struggling. My ankle's messed up. I don't feel good.
Fucking G.
And yeah. And so I'm like, oh my God, this guy hates me. I'm feeling the heat from the fans. I think that was the year that my buddies were at a game, and in the intermissions you could go and paint their own face mask, and they all were get Whitney out of town, or a whole section was just all over me. It's just tough. So he gets gassed, and I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Bilesma comes up. We had, it might have been an afternoon game we had, but Bilesma comes up and he's so different. He's positive. He brings me in. He's like, I'm going to get you going. I'm going to get you going. Like, you're a better player than you've been playing. I know you got a ton in there. Just the exact opposite of like Terry, and just he'd had enough of me.
Blowing smoke in your face.
And he probably had an idea maybe he was going to get fired. I don't think so, but he was just probably like, fuck this Whitney kid. Like, I'm not going to be nice to him at all. If he keeps playing like this, I'm going to be meaner and meaner and meaner. So Bilesma's the opposite. So he comes in. I'm like, yes, we go out there. We actually lost. And I played pretty well, I think. I mean, definitely, like, I wasn't amazing, but I felt better. I felt better about myself and my game. Well, my mom at the time was dealing with like a brain tumor, right? So she was going on the knife. They were removing it, and I was going home. I was going home to see her, right after. And so I went back, and I was there 3-4 days. And while I'm there, I'm sitting in the her hospital room. I think a day or two after her surgery, maybe the next day. And Ray Sherrill calls me, traded. I was like, oh my God. Because it wasn't just like my mom and like my life beyond hockey, which is so much more important, like sitting there with your mother. It was just like, wait, but I was with, no, Bilesma's now gone. Terrian's gone. I'm it. Like, it was just the most shocking. So when I look back, it's just, you remind me of that. It's the craziest thing because it was like such a high, such a low. My mom, she's doing great now. Then such a low. I'm getting traded to Anaheim of all places. I don't know anyone. It was just, and by the way, the end of the story, Anaheim's in Boston where I am that night to play the Bruins randomly. I hadn't skated in 4 days. They made me play. I was like, I can't play. And Randy Carl's like, you have to play. So I go in like jeans and a t-shirt because I didn't have anything because I was at home. Don't know a guy on the Ducks. We lose 8 Cobb. I'm even though. I was even.
Nice.
And boom. And I fly to Dallas and I'm on the Ducks and pro hockey, dude. Done. See ya.
That's it. Oh,
so it was a nuts week or whatever it was.
Randy was like, you win a Norris? No, get out there. You're out there.
Oh my God. I didn't know one guy.
It fines you for having jeans and a tee on too. Hey, speaking of that, and
Longer
I know
Niedermeyer, I'm wearing like True Religions.
Hey, we're gonna get to it later, but that 9-0 performance from New York on Philly, 2 guys on the Flyers, -6.
Ooh, tough sledding.
Ooh.
-6 is even people who say plus minus.
So going back to Calgary, if I think if they can get more consistency from those top guys and they're able to get comfortable with Daryl, I think they're going to be all right. I think they have a possibility to sneak into playoffs. But as you mentioned, Whit, they got to take advantage of these games in hands, and this next 10-game stretch is going to be very, very important. And it starts with going 2-0 against Ottawa.
I also, that afternoon of the game, because I was told I wasn't playing, so I was playing video games at my place with my buddies. Foley was over. So I ordered a large steak and cheese and a small cheese pizza and dummied it and didn't sleep, and then was called and said, you have to play tonight. Because the Bruins were a wagon, too. 8 Cobb.
That reminds me of when I was playing Bantam Major, and the Junior B team needed someone, and I crushed KFC. I think I was watching like what was the show with Corky from? Was it Life Goes On?
Life Goes On, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching Life Goes On with Corky in it and mucking KFC, and next thing you know, I'm playing in a Junior B game. I think I made it out alive at even there too, Whit.
Attaboy.
Shout out KFC.
All right,
my guy.
All right, moving right along, we're going to head on over to the West Division right now. And, dude, the Avs have been on an absolute tear. They've won 6 in a row. And, honestly, this is probably the good time to bring in Nazem Kadri right about now. I think we should have him on. But first, if you have 30 free minutes, you never have to worry about a break-in at home ever again. That is how quick and easy it is to set up a security system from Simply Safe. It's the kind of thing that's so easy you can do it during a Netflix binge, watching the game, or even listening to a certain podcast. That's what I love about Simply Safe, just how easy it is to set up, because that's not my thing. And now Simply Safe is incredibly easy to customize for your home. Just go to simplysafe.com/chiclets, and you can easily choose the exact sensors you need or get help from one of their experts. It'll get to your house in about a week, which means by this time next week, you and your whole family can go to bed knowing your home is being guarded. It's easy to assume everyone in your house already feels safe, but they might not. It's worthwhile to talk about. And Simply Safe is a small, easy step to make sure everyone feels safe at home. So go to simplysafe.com/chiclets today to customize your system and get a free security camera. You also get a 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. Once again, that's simplysafe.com/chiclets. By all means, check them out. And now we're going to send it over to Nazem Kadri. Well, I'd like to welcome our next guest to the show. He's currently in his second season with the Colorado Avalanche, where he had a monster playoffs in the bubble with 9 goals and 9 assists in 15 games. Before that, he had a somewhat eventful 10 years with the Toronto Maple Leafs after they took him 7th overall in the 2009 draft. Thanks a bunch for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Nazem Kadri, how's it going, my man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. I see you're in a hotel room as well as we are. Where are you right now?
We're in San Jose at the moment. Yep.
You just got done beating the wheels off my fucking Coyotes. What's your problem, bro? What's your problem?
Dude, it was just nice to see some fans in the building, man, for once, you know?
You guys had quite a few fans there, actually. You got your fans are loud and proud and traveling all over the place.
We did, actually. It was nice to not see cardboard cutouts and some real people, so it was cool.
I bet. I mean, you guys have been pretty busy. I mean, you guys traveled to Lake Tahoe for the outdoor game. Probably haven't played as many games as some teams, given the fact I think some of you guys went through COVID protocol. But overall, how's the season been going for you guys?
I think pretty well. I mean, it's been a little scattered. It's a unique year, that's for sure. But health has kind of been an issue. It'd be nice to get all the boys in the lineup for a few games in a row here, but we're handling it well, and everyone's got to go through the same thing. So you just got to deal with it.
We've heard a lot of you guys and players from Vegas kind of talk about what it was like going through that. But in the delay in Tahoe, I'm talking about how bad was that ice? Had you ever seen anything like that in the first period? I mean, the clip of the ref and other players falling was a circus.
Man, it was terrible. It was terrible. I can't even believe we played a period on that, ice now that I think about it.
In warm-ups and even the beginning of the period, was everyone like, I don't know about this?
Oh, yeah. As soon as you stepped on the sheet, you could just feel yourself sink right into it. And everyone's like checking their skate blades, thinking it's their skates or the sharpening or something. But just ended up being the ice. It was literally collapsing from underneath us because of the sun. So, the logo in the neutral zone was like the size of the entire zone, and you couldn't skate through it. So it was pretty nuts.
Just from watching you guys play, you guys got a pretty big, heavy lineup. Like even your skill guys, like they like to get in the mix and throw the weight around. I mean, I even noticed that Bo Byram. I wasn't expecting him to be as physical as he is. He plays with an edge as well.
I love it. I mean, he stands up for himself, and that's something I respect. So, for a young guy, he's physically, I think he's built pretty good, and got a thickness to him, and he can hold his own. So that's what he's been doing.
Were you surprised when he came up? I mean, we all got a chance to witness him at World Juniors, but how good he is with the puck, how slick he is, and how easy the game seems to come at that young, or did you kind of expect that skating with him last year in the bubble?
Yeah, I've seen him, a few times before the World Juniors, but it's like any other young guys. It's a maturation process. You gain that experience, you gain the confidence, but he's got all the tools. He's been put in some tricky situations in the lineup because of injuries, and I felt like he's dealt with them pretty well. So, silky smooth skater. He's got good hockey IQ. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do.
That's like every guy in your fucking D squad, including Cale Makar.
He's just posterizing breaking ankles like an NBA, or it's a joke.
This Cale Makar, he's like a treat to watch. And I was actually talking to one of the scouts up in the press box. I didn't know that he'd got invited to the Olympics. When the NHLers couldn't go.
And I think he stayed at UMass.
Yeah, and then he ended up I think turning it down, probably just maybe for didn't want to be like overexposed. Like he probably didn't know what to experience, but like this guy's a generational defenseman, and all of a sudden he just comes in and he's like one of the best players, one of the best defensemen in the league. Like what kind of impact is that to the lineup?
You said it right there. He's an important piece for us, and man, the way that guy skates and like his explosive power in his first couple strides is like, nothing I've ever seen before. And, the guy's got quads like I've never seen.
Is he a monster? He's a monster.
Oh yeah. He's built pretty powerfully. So, he can hold his own. His skating is it's insane how he'll take one or two strides and, just be flying up the ice and gaining so much space. So, he's got a great shot too. He's a smart player, and what I love most about him is he's not soft. He's not soft. He'll lay the body. He'll cross check. He'll play gritty. And, that's something I love the most about him.
I'm wondering, like, we saw him I think it was Ryan Hartman. He just embarrassed him. Is he doing that in practice? Like PP, like when those head fakes, has he made anyone look foolish out there when you guys are just twirling around before games?
Oh yeah. He's been giving me a couple pointers because that's happened to me a couple times going out to D-man and I'm walking around, faking the shot. So he's trying to give me some tips on how to approach that situation. But I'm not sure there's any really recipe for that. If a guy's just too quick, he's too quick, and you're gonna get beat. And then he's got an absolute bomb of a wrister too. So he's got the tools, man.
Yes, I want to go back to Tahoe for a second. I'm curious about how that whole process plays out where there's a situation, it's a workplace hazard essentially, like to the players mentioned to the refs, and it's also a hazard for the refs. Like, how did that all come about? You guys have an 8-hour break between periods. Like, what goes on in that whole thing?
I mean, for us, like we were committed, at that point we just, we wanted to just play and kind of get it over with. But, we understood that it was a bit of a hazard. You don't want someone catching, a rut and, messing up their knees or their ankles or something like that. So, I mean, it got pretty serious. And after the first period, we were kind of just sitting there waiting and for the final word, and the sun just kept getting hotter, I guess. And the ice was literally just disintegrating. Yeah. So I don't think it was possible for us to continue to play. And, it was terrible having to undress, come back for 2 periods, start on the power play. I think we started with like a 15-second 5-on-3 or something. So we're out there starting the game on a 5-on-3. It was different.
Did you guys go back to, was there like another pregame nap? Was it one of those, or what did everyone do in that time and during the delay?
Oh yeah, you had to
full blown.
You had to go back to the hotel and just
put another one
pretend like you're coming to another hockey game. I've never seen a hockey game with 2 warm-ups in the same game. So, we came out for warmies, chucked the biscuit around a little bit, and then just got ready to go.
Really sucked for the health bombs that day, huh?
They get bagged again. Well, we usually with guys, we go back to the beginning and just a super prospect. I mean, a really high pick. But even before that, how did you get into the game? Was it your father? Like, what really kind of helped you grow your love of hockey?
Yeah, my old man, for sure. He, he loved the Habs. He watched, the Saturday night games every single weekend. We were big Team Canada guys. So, my family doesn't really have any hockey background. No one's played besides me. So, he just loved the game and, put me in it at an early age. And I just loved the camaraderie and, the team value, and just fell in love with the sport. Decided to keep playing. With
your father not playing or nobody else in your family, like, was he still kind of trying to give you pointers, or was he open and saying, I don't know much about the game, but as long as you love it, keep going. You know what I mean? Like, who helped 100%.
you? That's the thing, man. My dad, he's never played, but he knows a lot about the game. He's watched a lot of hockey, and he's essentially been my coach from day one. Everything I've learned, for the most part, has come from his mouth. So, he's really good at analyzing the game and breaking it down, even though he's never played. He just didn't have the opportunity. Not that, he wasn't capable. He just didn't have the opportunity. And, he's taught me everything I know. So that's all him.
You're the 4th NHLer of Lebanese descent, correct? 4th ever?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up in London, Ontario. Was watching the Knights like one of the things that got you even more involved and more excited about hockey?
Played my minor hockey, youth hockey down there in the AAA program, and then went to Kitchener and played 2 years in junior, and then went to the Knights and played my final 2 years with my hometown team. So that was pretty special for me.
When you were younger, I mean, coming into OHL draft year, were you kind of hoping like you could go to London, or were you not even that big of a fan of that team necessarily, even though you'd grown up there?
No, I mean, I kind of wanted to start. I wanted to stay close to home. I knew that. And, there was a few teams that were trying to, I think, scoop me up a little earlier in the first round for my OHL draft. And I just, gave them I'm going to college or wasting a pick.
I will not be going there.
I've played that card. I think the Plymouth Whalers tried to scoop me at one point.
Brutal! What a brutal place to play. No offense.
Yeah, I was like, I think I'm gonna go to the NCAA. And sure enough, I mean, Pete DeBoer was the coach at the time, and Steve Spott. I had a great conversation with them, and I was set on going to Kitchener. So I just tried to hold off as long as possible, and sure enough, the Rangers grabbed me, and that's it.
Now, your dad had you skating at 3 years old. You were playing house league at 4. I mean, you must have just been a natural to be that good at that young of age.
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess I just when I was younger, I just loved the game. I loved being on outdoor rinks. You'd have to fight me to come inside. My mother would always say, and I was playing competitive hockey when I was 6, but I was playing with the 7-year-olds. And like Drew Doughty and Logan Couture, that class. So I was playing up an age group, and I feel like that kind of helped morph me into the player I am. Even though I was so young, I got an early taste of it.
I was just going to ask, was there any particular reason you ended up getting traded from Kitchener to London? Was it just a matter of fact of like at that point you'd established yourself and you're like, hey, I want to go back home and play, or it just so happened that a spot opened up where there was a move possible?
Well, I'd always wanted to play in London, my hometown junior city. So we hosted the Mem Cup, the Rangers, in my second year, and we made a big trade for Steve Mason at the time to solidify our goaltending spot. And the trade happened the year of the Mem Cup, midway through the season, and I was actually involved in that trade, but I was the future consideration. So they had told me, Pete brought me in the office. And he was leaving that year. Spotter was leaving. All their veteran guys were leaving. So our team was, wasn't going to be good the next year. So we had a conversation, and it was basically like, you're going to play out the rest of the season here, play the Mem Cup, and then in the summertime, you're going to go over to Huntsy and play for the Knights.
That's like cute shit.
I honestly think to this day, they changed that rule because of that trade. Yeah,
that sounds illegal as shit.
Dude,
now.
In the queue, they used
now
to
there's no future considerations left. So I knew I was traded, involved in that trade when the trade happened, which was mid-season. But I was able to finish out the rest of the year, play the Mem Cup, the playoffs, Mem Cup, and then go to London in the summer.
And then secure the bag. But I was sick. I was hopping in there in the queue. I still even think it flies. They would legit move like every superstar over to one team, and the next year that team who gave up their superstars would then get all the superstars. It became a bit of a fucking gong show in the queue.
I'm surprised London was able to finagle that too. They never get away with anything.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm really shocked.
Actually, hold on quickly. I got a question about that Memorial Cup though, and for people maybe Americans who don't know. If you host the Memorial Cup, you're automatically in. So what happens is, like, even if you lose first round OHL playoffs, you got to wait around for Mem Cup. How did you guys do that year in the OHL playoffs? Were you able to at least kind of get to the finals, or?
Yeah, we won.
Oh, you won it all. All right, nice. I didn't know that.
We won it all. We had a stacked team. It was sick. Yeah, we won the OHL championship that year and advanced to the Mem Cup, feeling pretty good. And probably should have won that one.
Who took it?
Spokane. Spokane Chiefs took it. I think we outshot them like 60 to 25 in the final game.
Who's their goalie?
I think it was Tokarski.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just stood on his head. We threw everything at him, and hey, it is what it is.
And then you end up going over to London. I mean, you get drafted by Toronto, and I feel like if you're playing in London, it's like the mecca of hockey.
It's better than the AHL. You're going downhill going to the AHL. Seriously. Fans and everything. It's true.
Yeah, and I mean, you get used to essentially performing and being the star of the town. Like what was that like, and did it essentially prepare you from getting drafted to Toronto and playing there?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. London's one of the best junior hockey cities, I think, in the entire planet. We got sellouts every night, diehard fans, the whole city loves the team, big time support. You kind of get a lot of the spotlight. It's like a big market junior team. So it definitely prepared me in a sense. And, just being under the Hunter brothers with Dale and Mark, I feel like, they prepared me as well. So, it's kind of nice how it worked out that way.
Looking at your draft, I mean, the top you were the 7th pick. The guys that went before you, just 7 studs right there. And I'm wondering, like, going in, did you have an idea about Toronto? You know, Brian Burke's there. What went on your draft day and leading up to that? How did the combine go for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool experience. Combine was good.
Yeah.
I felt like I did pretty well. I mean, at that time I was,
buck 60,
pretty skinny and could barely even, how they got the, what's the beep thing they do with the beep test biz with like the bench press.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
What's that thing called?
Oh, you got the VO2. The metronome.
Yeah, and it gets going quick too.
God, man.
You didn't even know what a metronome was till you got there.
I could barely lift that thing off the rack, man. It was a struggle. But no, it was cool. It was cool. I had the meetings with all the teams. I felt like I was going to go somewhere in that range, and I felt like LA was really interested at 5, and I figured it was going to be, them or Toronto. And then, Berkey made that play on the floor and told Murray he was taking me or whatever. And, that was it.
Now, so I want to go back to Dale Hunter for a minute. He's a guy, he's had a taste of the NHL life. Apparently, he likes to be a teacher. What did he teach you as far as being a pro? What did he do for your game that got you to the level you're at now?
Well, I feel like he, when you're in junior hockey, he treats you more like a pro than a kid. I think that's what prepares you, for the next level. He kind of lets you do your thing and holds you accountable at the same time, and Mark's the same way. So they just treat you like men, and, they expect a lot from you. And, I feel like that grooms you well for the next level.
Do you like I don't want to say old school, because he is kind of a player's coach in the sense that he communicates well, but do you like when coaches are a little bit more stern with the group and a little bit more old school, I guess?
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, I have a type of personality that can handle that. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily for all guys, so for me personally, I don't mind. I feel like, I'm pretty hard on myself to begin with. So, it doesn't matter for me.
Naz, I know your first couple of camps in Toronto, they were a huge story. First year, you get sent back to London. You did get the one-game emergency call-up. The next year, you start in the AHL. Looking back, do you think you were NHL ready back then, and they made a mistake not having you up, or did they make the right move looking back?
It's a tough one. I feel like I personally could have played. I think my first preseason, I led the team in scoring and had a lights-out preseason, lights-out camp. I mean, the team at that time wasn't great. So, I mean, I could see what they were thinking, sending me back down to junior and trying to, let me develop. It was kind of that transition phase where, that was still part of the mentality, whereas opposed to now you want your young guys playing as quick as possible. So it was a bit of that transition period, and they wanted me to gain some more experience playing with men, and that's how it ended up going.
I just remember, I mean, I knew who you were coming into the league, big name, big prospect, but I remember Don Cherry just yelling every coach's corner, bring up Kadri, get Kadri up here. It's like, you had to at least love that was going on. Even if you were probably frustrated, I mean, that third year pro, you're still playing in the AHL, lighting it up. It's like, come on, guys, let's go, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened. The lockout training camp, they finally, I appreciated that. Obviously, I think Grapes put a little bit of pressure on the organization to get me up there.
Bring up Kadri!
Oh, man, I was loving every second of it. So, I felt like I was prepared. I mean, when I came up, I had, struggled a little bit, but, there's all different factors that came into that. But, I was ready to go, and it was just a matter of time, I think.
You ended up making World Juniors. You talked earlier about how you were big Team Canada fans, and that's really what sucked you into becoming such a big hockey fan. Playing World Juniors, I know you guys ended up falling short, winning the silver that year. Was that, at that point, that to have been the pinnacle of your hockey career and probably one of the biggest moments of your life? Oh, man, that tournament was sick. It was great. Being on home ice in Canada. It was in Saskatoon, and it was like minus 55. That was a little too much, but besides that, it was an unbelievable atmosphere. That gold medal game, now I still remember it like it was yesterday. The chills, and obviously playing the U.S., it doesn't really get much bigger and better than that. So, and it was an unbelievable game to boot. So,
definitely something I cherish for the rest of my life.
Is that one of the moments where you knew you kind of became a household name, and maybe when you go out in Toronto or wherever you were, and people would definitely recognize you more?
For sure. I mean, that's what the tournament does. It brings attention, and everyone wants to have a big tournament, kind of get their name out there, and that could be your breakthrough moment on eventually getting to the NHL. So it's a big tournament in terms of attention, media attention, and just kind of putting yourself on the map.
Now, as I mentioned, that one game you got called up for an emergency call. Did that not burn off a year of your contract like it does nowadays? Because I looked at Cap Friendly after. It didn't look like it did.
No, I don't think it did. I'm not sure if the rules were different or what was happening there, but that was probably one of the coolest parts of my entire career. Also, I was playing in junior, and then I was called up on emergency call-up basis. Hopped in a car. They sent me a car. Rolled to the ACC. Strapped them on for my first NHL game, and then after it was done, I went back and played junior hockey. Just thought I was the man. So it was sick. Man.
That might have been the other scene that put you on the map.
Yeah, it was cool how it all worked out. But just to get a little taste, and who we were playing against at the time, it was I think I started the game, and on the other side there was like 4 or 5 Hall of Famers, lining up on the other side of me. So it was. I had to pinch myself for sure.
That kind of just makes me think of another question. Who was your idol growing up? I mean, was there a guy you really looked up to?
Oh yeah, I was a big Paul Kariya fan. Nice. I had his jersey in my room, and I just loved the way he played because I was a bit of a smaller player growing up too, and he was just felt like he was a great leader, and he was just a warrior too. Just the guy was an animal and the ultimate pro, and he was small, but he was tough and gritty, so I respected that.
Do you like geek out on him in a sense, like you like would listen and find out his routines, and also there was a feature on TSN that came out. He ended up talking finally after forever. Like, did you consume all that?
Yeah, I watched it all. I mean, I followed his career pretty thoroughly growing up, and just always had respect for the guy. I mean, even after obviously that everyone knows about that, notorious hit he took from Scott Stevens in the playoffs, comes back and buries. Like,
remember the breath too? Remember he took that breath? You're like, oh my God, he's awake.
Like you can't make that shit up. That's respect in my eyes, and I loved it.
So I just got off a little track there because we were talking Toronto, but you played for Ron Wilson. I experienced playing for him in the Olympics. I was just the clown on the team, so he didn't even deal with me. But then you had Randy Carlyle. I don't know Ron that well, but Randy, he despised me. I mean, guys couldn't stand him. It was just like, oh my God, Randy, here we go again. What was your relationship like with him?
I think it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, to be honest with you, I just kind of minded my own business, and I was a young guy. I just worked every day, and it doesn't really bother me if someone's hard on me or gives me a kick in the ass every once in a while. So for the most part, I mean, he's the kind of guy that really gave me a top 6 opportunity and really solidifying myself. So that's something I could appreciate. But he was definitely hard on some guys, but I guess that's just. It is what it is.
In Anaheim, like, Gretzky would give it back to him a little bit. Like, was there any, like, Dion giving it to him?
The toaster. Wasn't it the toaster giving it back to him at 24/7?
Randy.
Of course, man. Of course. You got to, I mean.
He didn't mind it either, I think. He was a little bit like Hitchcock, where guys would give it back, and I think he liked it if you were good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, Babs was kind of the same way. All those, like, traditional coaches, they like a little piss and vinegar, So I think the pushback is good. And, I mean, to a certain extent, right? You still have some respect, but, you're gonna end up butting heads every once in a while. And I think it's just important to stand up for yourself.
And you had 3 hot-ass coaches in Toronto. You went from Wilson to Carlyle to Babcock. Which guy worked best for you?
Yeah, I mean...
You kind of played the same role with all of them. Sorry to interrupt. I feel like you were always top 6.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was. I mean, to be honest with you, I think Babs is good. Babs is good for me. He taught me a lot about the game. He was a good coach. I think he made me a better player. That's for sure. Just getting me dialed in with the details and stuff like that. I mean, did I, question his methods sometimes and how he approached certain things? Yeah, but like we were talking about, you just, you got to give a little pushback. If you don't agree with something, you stand up and say it. And, I think that's one thing that, Babs really appreciated, is someone standing up for themselves.
Yeah, Commie's a big fan of him too, Mike Commodore. I'm curious. Like, so you get to Toronto, you're a big prospect, big name, and the team, you made the playoffs the 1 year early, and then it's a struggle, 3 straight years without. And I'm sure you probably felt pressure from media, from fans, in terms of like, I'm one of the top guys, I'm now catching heat. Was it tough then? And were you able to kind of deal with like, all of a sudden I'm going from the prospect to the guy that's like, well, what the fuck? We're not in the playoffs, and Kadri's at fault because of this and that. Did you feel that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard not to. Like, you guys know what comes with that, especially in a big market. Being a top 6 forward, I think, they can be a little bit hard on you for sure. But at the end of the day, I think, you just got to handle it and deal with it the best you can, and just come ready to play. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they want. They want, to see you work and to see you try and to give effort. And, usually with skilled players, if you're, competitive enough and you work, good things are going to happen.
And that after the 3rd straight year, no playoffs, that next regular season, you hop on at 32 goals, right? I mean, like, did anything change that off season? Did your game change? Did you just feel stronger and just better overall? What happened there? Because it was 2 straight years at 32.
Mm-hmm. Just, a good opportunity. I think, like I said, with young players, once you start to, figure out what the league's like and gain some experience, you start to understand, what you're capable of and what you can do on a consistent basis. So, for me, it was just, we had a sick power play at the time, some good players around us. Everything kind of just worked out, and, you just find ways to score.
Now, as those first couple teams you're on with Toronto, I noticed looking at the rosters, there weren't a lot of like what you call grizzled vets on those teams. Was that like an issue in the locker room where you had maybe too many young guys where there wasn't someone to like kind of take hold of that locker room?
I mean, I don't know if that was the issue, but, we had some guys, just a lot of guys. It was like a bit of a revolving door the first couple of years, just guys coming in and out, and, just constant new faces. So I think that, takes a bit of an impact on the team. And when you can't play with the same line mates, you don't see the same guys in the room consistently, I think that that might wear on a team.
What about when, I'm not going to say pick on guys, but when the front office is talking to the media as much as they are, does that make your job more difficult? Like, it's like, all right, you already know what your job is. You're a local kid playing for the Maple Leafs. Now you get your GM or your coach kind of like chirping to the media. Does that make your job tougher?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, yeah, because it brings more attention to, the things you're doing or not doing. But, at the end of the day, when you're playing in a market like Toronto, you just got to understand that, it's just some crazy stuff's going to happen. And, the amount of times I've been, posted on front pages of the Toronto Suns with like the shittiest headlines, it's something that you can't let bother you, and you just got to keep moving forward. And, it's you definitely got to have a mental toughness for sure.
Like, not to dig too deep on it, but like the Babcock stuff, like now that it's all coming out and it's a little bit more to the surface, while you were playing there, like, did you notice anything that like really crossed the line? I know you said you questioned some of his methods, like anything that you thought was like really over the top to where he's continuing to deserve this barrage that he's getting?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That one's a bit of a delicate one because, for me, I think I actually had a decent relationship with Baz because, I didn't really let him, push me around or, you just got to stand up for yourself and have your own voice. But, he's a detail oriented coach. Like Babs is, he prepares, and his detail of the game is like, the best I've ever seen. And in terms of preparing for a game plan, the way he approaches some situations is, or says some certain things maybe that, crosses the line. But, I understand from a coaching perspective how, you want to get the most out of your players. You want to push some buttons, but you got to know who that works for and who doesn't. And, that's it at the end of the day.
So basically, you as a leader at that point there, you never saw it to where it was affecting a guy where you felt like you needed to step in, or it never even got to that point.
No, I don't think it got to that point. He was, Babs, he loved his one-on-one meetings too. And, a lot of times he wouldn't, necessarily say it in front of the whole team. So if something was going on, you maybe with another player, you maybe wouldn't know about it as much as you would have if it was in front of the whole team. So, he kind of kept that between, certain individuals, but yeah, man, he definitely tries to push you for sure.
The one-on-one meetings, you ever have any fuck you matches with him? You just go in there to say fuck you back and forth?
All the time. All the time, man. And, but that was the thing. That was the thing. We had a relationship that, we if you hash it out like men, you might get into one of those battles, but at the end of the day, you flush it and, you want to be better for your team. So, like I said, you just gotta stand up for yourself.
So you never took a shit on his desk?
No, I didn't go that far.
Not going to cop to that.
Well, with all the success you had in Toronto as a player, and you grew into not just a top six, offensive player, you're a pain in the ass to play against. There was, 2 moments that was tough. April 12th, I think, is probably a tough day for you. You suspended in 2018 in the first round against the Bruins, and then the next year again, which ended up being the end of your Maple Leafs career. When you look back on that suspension with the brusque, the cross-check, do you really regret it? Do you look at it just happened so quick? It's just kind of how you play on the edge. What are your thoughts on kind of the end of your career as a Maple Leaf, even though it was probably tough to deal with at the time?
Yeah, a little bittersweet. I think that's just the type of guy I am, and I always will be. I'm going to stand up for my teammates, and
He hit Marleau, right?
Yeah, he pasted Marleau into the dasher there. I didn't like it. Am I trying to go over there and cross-check him in the face? Definitely not. It just kind of came up a little high, and, I served my time. I took accountability. Obviously, I wasn't a huge fan. I wanted to play in the playoffs, and at that time, I was playing too.
You were playing nice, yep. Yeah,
I was playing nice, so it was, it was a bit of a shitty thing for me to go through, but you can't think I was going to do that again for a third time, could you?
Did you?
Two's enough.
Did you have a feeling of that you were going to get traded? When you heard the news, how did that all go down?
Yeah, I was. I kind of had an idea that maybe something might be in the works. I think it was, maybe a 50, 60% chance I might be returning. But for me, I'm always trying to be optimistic and positive, and my thoughts are I'm coming back. I'm going to be ready to play. I'm going to, prove these people wrong or whatever, a little chip on your shoulder. But, yeah, I heard there was some talks in the deal. Obviously, that Calgary situation, I nixed, hoping to stay in Toronto. But, clearly they were shopping me. So I'm just luckily I ended up in a great place like Denver, playing with some great players. And now I'm thinking taking my career to the next level.
Yeah, considering you went to Colorado, probably easier to get over. But does part of you feel fuck you? You didn't think I was one of the pieces to answer your problems. Do you have, I think that's probably a normal emotion to have given what you gave to the organization throughout your time there.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm a competitive guy, and I'm always looking to prove people wrong and just come back even stronger. So for me, I was a little bit bitter at the time, but now that I've just settled in and able to just take a step back and look at the situation I've been put in, the opportunity that I have, living in a great city, playing with some great players on a great team, I can't be upset.
Naz, I want to ask you about that. Now, you had a modified no trade clause, so at some point you must have been clued in that they were looking to trade you. How did that play out? Did they reach out to you a month before? Is it a list you give prior to? How does that situation play itself out?
Yeah, so I mean, you obviously negotiate that. Had a limited no trade, and you submit like 12 teams or whatever it is on
Edmonton,
July 1st or something. Yeah,
Buffalo,
you probably could
Columbus.
get the ones that are on there.
Come on, give us the goods.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you banged them all out right there. So,
no offense to those, we love those franchises.
All due respect.
That's all Kadri saying that, folks, not us.
So I mean, like I said, I was just hoping to stay in Toronto, and I really wanted to be there. Because I knew I was just going to get better, and I wanted to provide more for the team, but they decided to go in a different direction, and I'm okay with that.
And I think they probably were looking at like, let's get him out west. We don't really want to deal with him in this conference.
Yeah, if this one's gonna bend us over and shove it right up.
This guy's gonna come back and cross-check 4 of our players.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Toronto, you fucks. Now I'm gonna watch this guy get 1 and 2 against my Yotes, for crying out loud.
Hey, but
fuck you, Dubas.
In all seriousness, I mean, you go from Toronto, where 45 reporters a day in the room, and now it's Colorado, where it's pretty chill. I mean, their huge fan base is incredible. It's just not the same. That must be nice. And then now, granted, it's totally different. You don't have media in the room. Everything's done via Zoom. But the pressure doesn't probably feel the same, which can really help players out. Would you agree?
I would agree. Definitely. I didn't mind the pressure so much, really, but it is nice not having to do a 30-person scrum after every single game. Sometimes in Colorado, I'd just get undressed and I wouldn't talk to anybody, and it's just like something I wasn't used to, and I was like, oh, this is great. I don't gotta sit here and answer the same questions over and over again. So that part was a little bit relieving for sure, and just you're able just to do your own thing, and the privacy aspect too in Denver, like nobody's bugging you.
No.
So you can kind of do what you want and go about your own business, which is great.
Any media members in Toronto that you'll forever despise, or are you kind of pleading the fifth on that one?
Oh, I'm pleading the fifth.
Oh, fuck! We'll have a beer sometime. I'll get the real answer.
I'll say Steve Simmons for you.
Off the record, I'll give you something.
All right, fair enough.
You said you're going to continually get better. Like, what is it at this point that you can keep improving on in order to keep sustaining what you're doing? Like, is it more skill work? Is it more video work? Is it a sense of like you just been around so long enough where you have to be in each position?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You just gain that experience, and I know what my job and my responsibility is every single night. And obviously, you want to provide as much as you can offensively without being a liability defensively. So just trying to play a complete game. I think, I've, been working on my face-offs too, just trying to, snap some draws back to have more possession, spend more time with the puck. So I think you just constantly evolve, and, I think the older you get, maybe you get a little stronger, and you can do what you do.
You said face-offs. Have you been going against MacKinnon? Because I think coming into the season, he came on here and said it's the number one thing he needs to improve on is face-offs.
Oh yeah, I've been on him about that for sure. So he's the type of guy that didn't really worry about draws too much. I mean, the guy's got so many other things going on, but he understands that now if you win a face-off or two, you're gonna have the puck a little more, and that could potentially mean more offense. So when I told him that, his eyes just lit up. So
you dumbed it down for him, eh?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care. Give it to him. I'll give him a chance for once.
Now he's bearing down, and he, I've been really impressed to watch him, evolve in that category.
So Landeskog wears the C there. Is he the guy in the room that's loudest pregame, or is there somebody else who's kind of the voice of the room getting guys going? Is that you?
Who's coming in with the mangina? Get the boys laughing.
Yeah, man. I'm always joking around, keeping it loose. I don't. Yeah, I mean, all players are different. Leading up to game time, but for me, I like to keep things light, and obviously you understand what you got to go out there and do, but I'm joking around till the last possible second. So, I like to keep it loose, and we have a fun dressing room. Guys get along, and it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, Nate said you're pretty much like a swag god. Like you got a lot of swag, I guess.
You got the drip. You can wear the drip to the ring.
The kids call it.
You got a sick new mask you're wearing to the game, a designer mask over the snout and the mouth.
I mean, I'm not overly flashy, but I mean, I think you got to have your confidence. You got to believe in what you can do, and that's where a lot of players vary. They could be such a great player when they have confidence, but that same player, if they lose their confidence, they end up not being as good of a player. So I think you just got to believe in yourself, and if I can bring that positivity and that confidence to the team, I think it helps us.
I just want to ask you about Mac. Like, what's it like going to the rink every day? You're playing with one of the top players on the planet. Just like that competitive drive, and that, like, it's a little bit fucking crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, he's an intense dude, man. He's intense, but he's a competitor. He's one of the most competitive guys I've ever seen, and man, this guy works too. Like he backs up everything he does, and he's out there ripping pucks from the start. First one on, last one off, that type of thing, and he holds himself accountable. So he's definitely an intense guy, but I'd have it no other way.
Nice. You got a great story. I think your grandfather emigrated from Lebanon to Canada. Obviously, like Biz mentioned, there's only been 4 NHLs of Lebanese descent. So when your games are on, are they a big deal back on like Lebanon? Like there's a lot of the country watching when you're playing?
Yeah. I mean, people watch. I got a lot of relatives back there too, and I mean, I don't think there's been a player that's between those Lebanese player that's been playing as long as I have and like been as established. So. People pay attention now, and they're starting to play hockey a little bit over there, building a couple rinks. So that's good to see, just the game of hockey growing.
All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and let MacKinnon know he still can't hit a wedge. We owned him in the first sandbag. I don't know if you've ever saw that, but man, it's been a treat to watch you for Colorado. It's a team that could definitely win the Stanley Cup. So we wish you all the luck the rest of the year. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Appreciate that, guys.
And tell Mac, I bet you I could beat him best of 5 in a face-off.
Let's
match.
Content piece.
I will fucking dummy him.
Biz has a torn ACL.
I took 4 in my NHL career. I won 3 of them. So, and one of them I think was against Jeff Carter. Two Stanley Cups, not a big deal.
He was hungover though.
Can you pat my back, please? Thank you. Tell him it's a challenge.
I'll let him know.
All right, Nas. Thanks, buddy.
Right,
see you,
Nas. Thanks a lot, pal. Take care. Big thanks to Nazem Kadri for joining us. Enjoyed the chat. Hopefully we'll get him back again. I do want to mention, if you are a business owner who's hiring, you probably face a lot of challenges when it comes to finding the right person for your role. Lack of qualified candidates, tons of resumes to go through, where to post a job. Well, that's why hiring can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job on some job board. Then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try Ziprecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/chiclets. When you post a job on Ziprecruiter, it gets sent out to over 100 top job sites with one click. Then Ziprecruiter's matching technology finds people with the right skills and experience for your job and actively invites them to apply. In fact, Ziprecruiter is so effective that 4 out of 5 employers who post on Ziprecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. It's no wonder over 2.3 million businesses have come to Ziprecruiter for their hiring needs. So while other companies overwhelm you with too many options, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for, the needle in the haystack. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at this web address, ziprecruiter.com/chiclets. Once again, remember to go to this unique place, ziprecruiter.com/chiclets. That's CHICLETS, ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. We do want to mention, too, we did talk to Nazem. It was right after the Lake Tahoe games a few weeks back. So just give you that perspective. They hadn't been on this
welcome
heater.
For the Chiclets bump, Colorado.
There you go,
I mean, they won in a row now. They've been and they were doing it all with Cale Makar, or without, excuse me. And then he just came into the lineup last game, I believe. And the Coyotes got them back to back. Holy shit.
They actually just made a move, too. They acquired Jonas Johansson from Buffalo. He's a goaltender for a 6th-round pick in this year's draft. Basically, Grubauer's been playing his ass off. He started basically the first Colorado goalie since they had Varlamov back 8 years ago to start 20 of the team's first 25 games. He's got 5 shutouts. Pavel Francouz, who was the backup, he's got a lower body injury, so they had to go through their depth chart. So basically, they picked up this guy, Jonas Johansson from Buffalo, to short things up. I think they're going to keep rolling either way.
He sprinted to the airport.
They're like, here, no, I got my own flight.
Can I get the Uber Super Speed, please? Wednesday night, our buddy Revo, he got his first of the year and he got the second star. And he also had one of the best quotes I've heard all year. He said after the game, quote, anytime you do anything against the Sharks, it's fun. It's no secret. I hate every one of them over there. Anytime I can do anything like that, it's a good time. End quote. Like, that rivalry is something special that he has with that.
He was on Men in Blazers too, which is a show on, I think it's NBC Sports maybe. But I saw it on NHL.com. It was good.
In the same game, too, Mark Stone and Thomas Hurdle fought, and then Marchessault and Couture, probably four unlikely fight partners if you were going to draw names at the beginning of the night. You know, Reva was saying basically, I don't want those guys doing that. You know, like that's my job. So, also, too, there was a controversial call Saturday night, third period, San Jose, St. Louis tie game. And Patrick Marleau, the guy's played more games than anyone in the league right now. He got a penalty for a face-off violation. I mean, you never, ever see this penalty called. Or I should say very seldom, let alone a guy who's been around the league that much. You'd think he might have got a warning. I know they had already waved the other guy out. I guess he didn't touch his stick to the ice. I mean, what is that, chintzy as all hell or what?
Yeah, it's more than anything, it's who they called it on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, this like fake rule that I've never actually seen it called watching a game. I've only seen a tweet or a replay. To call it on Marleau, it's like that was the most bizarre situation. I think both teams would be like, dude, come on,
we defer.
Liney, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane, bud. It's Patrick Marleau, you're giving him a face-off penalty.
Yeah, it was the umpire who actually ruined that guy's perfect game. He switched over leagues.
Oh, at least that guy felt bad, though. I think that guy was like so depressed about ruining that guy's perfect game.
Was that against the Detroit Tigers?
It was the Tigers. It was the Tigers pitcher, and he was out. He had the guy out by 4 feet.
Yeah, and then Jim Leyland had the player go give the lineup card the next day. Do you remember that part?
And the guy was like crying or something, wasn't he?
Yeah,
the guy felt horrible.
Yeah,
he felt horrible.
Well, that's like, I know that you guys weren't even alive. The 85 World Series, that was the Kansas City won it, but St. Louis should have won it in 6, but the umpire made an awful call.
No.
Kansas City ended up rallying, wins game 6, wins game 7. They had Saberhead.
When you say they should have won it, like bottom of the ninth?
They were leading. Yeah, they were leading going into the bottom of the ninth. Todd Worrell, who was one of the best closers in the game, was on the mound. They had, I don't know if there was one out when he made the call. It might have been no outs. But basically, St. Louis had a lead with one of the league's best closers. And Don Denkinger, he just totally muffed it. And what he did.
Base, a play at first?
It was a play to first base. The guy, if he was out by a step or two. I mean,
then he's on base. He's looking to tie it up. Boom.
And they ended up rallying a couple hits, win the game, forced the game 7, in which they had the ace going. But this umpire, Don Denkinger, he actually got either a picture or a painting of this mistake in his office, just to always remind him that, like, hey, we're all human. We all fuck up. We all make mistakes. But I mean, I wouldn't want a daily reminder of my biggest fucking fuck up. Although I just go on Instagram and get them every day anyways.
There's like, if you mess up a call like that in soccer in like South America, you're dead.
Yeah.
Fan bases will like murder. They'll murder you.
Andres Escobar got killed.
Not Chelsea fans, but other fans would.
Yeah.
What class?
Arsenal fans, Whit?
Fucking Arsenal. They stink. Real bad team.
Minnesota defenseman Carson Soucy got a 1-game suspension for charging Connor Garland. I mean, it was more of a hit to the head than anything, but it was called charging. He kind of jumped up and
he left his feet.
Yeah, left his feet. Just a dirty hit. I mean, I'm honestly surprised, just given it was the head biz. You only got 1 game because you hear the league saying we want to crack these hits down, and then you got one there, and they only give the guy a game. I thought, the direct hit to the head.
Hey, listen, I won't be bitching on here, seeming all biased and stuff, but whatever. I mean, I think that probably his first time being suspended. What was surprising is he got to stay in the game, but what's his name? Lawson Krause ended up
tuning him up, right?
Yeah, I cleaned him up pretty good. But then Lawson Krause got tossed because when he got him on the ground, he kept wailing away. Which, I mean, there's
the boot for that.
Yeah, I think he got the aggressor because he kept. He must have thrown 3 or 4 shots when the guy was on the ground. And but sending a message, because it's been a lot of times this year, Connor Garland's been taking some abuse with.
That's their best player.
Yeah, no retaliation. So, it's been tough sledding. I mean, they had a tough ride against Minnesota there, but they ended up going off to Anaheim. And if we're sticking to the theme of the West, I got to see Zegras' first game when they played them earlier in the season, and then this Drysdale, who looked really good really comfortable on the back end, great skater, ended up getting a goal and an apple in his first game. They ended up coming from behind from 2-0. So Troy Terry looked pretty good. So the young guys for Anaheim really getting it done, and they got they got a bright future ahead of them, but definitely some tough sledding this year. Miller was he was struggling in between the pipes, that's for sure. I think he got the yanking game too.
Drysdale is money. He was walking the line, head up, like he's gonna be special. You saw it in the World Juniors. So him and Zegras together, some bright things in Anaheim, maybe in the future.
It's been a long time, and since they've had a Drysdale to root for in Southern California. Even Biz, does that name ring a bell? Don Drysdale, yeah. I mean, he predates, even me, for Christ's sake, but I remember him from being on the Brady Bunch back in the day. That's why I remember Don Drysdale. What else we got?
I actually thought Don Drysdale was a player on the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, he was on Brady Bunch?
He was on the Brady Bunch, too.
He ended up being an actor?
Yeah. Well, he was on the Brady Bunch. I don't know if there were a lot of athletes who popped up on the Brady Bunch.
Oh, it was just a one-timer. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
My bad. I thought you
No. I think more people would have understood you as opposed to how I took it.
I feel like there's a few guys this year who have been put on waivers who ended up not getting sent down and stuck with the team. Adam Henrique, is that how you say it? Henrique. He's one of them. He's got 8 goals in the season now, and he's really elevated his play after getting put on waivers. And I think Spezza was another guy at the beginning of the season who got put on waivers, who's been lighting it up since. So I don't know if that's the spark you got to give guys now. You just put them on the waiver wire, and then all of a sudden they go on a heater. But he looked pretty impressive too. He had the OT winner in that first game against the Yotes.
Yeah, I think teams do it just because why not? If someone fucking takes a flyer on a guy and takes that contract off your hands, I mean,
fair
obviously, enough. Yeah, fair enough. So St. Louis forward Oscar Sundqvist is going to miss the rest of the season. He tore the ACL in his left knee after he collided with teammate Kyle Clifford. Sucks to hear that. He's obviously a big part of that squad. They've been scuffling a bit offensively. The LA Kings signed pending restricted free agent defenseman Matt Roy to a 3-year, $9.45 million extension that kicks in after this season. He's third on the team in ice time with 1932 a game. Played at Michigan Tech, 7th round pick in the 15 draft. What can you boys tell us about us, Biz?
I played with him for a little bit. He came in at the end of the season my last year when I was hobbling around on no ACLs, but just steady Eddie. Just a very, one of those guys where you play
he like Scuderi?
I think he's got a little bit more offense. He can make plays. Scuds was kind of an off the glass and out kind of guy, good on the penalty kill. But
Scuds was making more than that.
Yeah, he was making $4 million a year, I think.
Yeah. So this guy's 3.9.
Yeah. So he's coming off of his, I believe, his entry level signing that deal. Okay. So a pretty nice deal for him. I haven't had a chance to watch him play a ton, but I know when he did come in the American League, like you were just like, oh, this guy just handles himself as a professional. Yeah. And man, LA and their scouting staff, they end up finding so many gems in the later rounds, and their ability to draft and develop is very impressive. And to stick with the LA theme, they had a really cool thing happen in Ontario where I used to play for 2 years already, and I'll tee you up for that.
Yeah, from TSN Instagram feed, the Ontario Reign had the first all-black line in pro hockey since 1941 when they put Devontae Smith-Pelly, Quentin Byfield, and Akil Thomas all together. Those last two are obviously a couple of the prospects you mentioned, Biz. Way back in 41, the great Herb Carnegie, who was said to be the best best hockey player not in the NHL back then. His brother Aussie and Manny McIntyre, they formed the line for the Buffalo Anchorite Bisons that was nicknamed the Black Aces. Like I said, Carnegie, he was a terrific player. Like Jean Beliveau basically copied what he did. Everyone said he should have been in the league, but of course, you had racist owners who wouldn't allow him to break the barrier. But he should have probably been the first guy in the league way back then.
They got another black player on their team, Boko Imama. This guy is a nail gun. He got in a scrap the other night. You got to see the way he ragdolled someone, and he has a short wick on him too. Absolute killer. I hope he ends up breaking into the league too, because he is just a ball of energy out there.
Where's he from?
Montreal.
And he's just
I'll send you this clip of this fight, folks. If you get an opportunity to go, it was funny because the defenseman kind of was like, he shimmy shook him and got away from the official. And then the minute he saw Boko's reaction, he was like, no. oh shit. And he just went over. But
it's like Army seeing Gavin Morgan tape up the
Yeah. I don't know how many new listeners we have, but there was a funny moment in the AHL when Kobe Armstrong, he was feeling a bit of pressure from Therrien, wasn't it, to play a little bit tougher? He'd been called out in the locker room.
This was down in the minors. This was like before I was even pro. Therrien wasn't his coach.
Oh, wasn't Therrien?
Yeah, it wasn't Therrien, but they were in Hamilton, I think it was. And yeah, I mean, people must know this story, but people who don't, Army's like, I got to get in a fight. And he goes out and sees this Gavin Morgan guy who's a little maybe undersized, shorter, but jacked. And he's like, let's go. Or whatever happened. They ran into each other in front of the net. He's like, we're going. Army's like, we're going. So he's like, all right, I'm fighting next shift. I'm going to fight this guy. He's on the bench. And he looks down the bench, and Gavin Morgan is looking at him, taping up his wrists, looking at him, nodding. And he gives the helmet. He gave the helmet to the trainer behind him, who's taken the visor off. So Army said, oh my God.
That is such a boss move.
And he and Gavin Morgan beat the absolute wheels off Army. And that's the famous line when Army's ice in his face as the team comes in. And Alexander Daddagle goes, holy fuck, Army, check the game notes, bud. Because Gavin Morgan had about 150 PIMs or whatever it was at the time.
Yeah, not usually a good thing when you're looking for your first one and you look down after. Hey, did a couple of guys on the bench go, geez, I don't know, Army. That guy's pretty tough. And that's when he looked. It was like, who's the dead man who hit me with the salt shaker?
That story's in like the book of Genesis from the Chiclets. That's an early one.
But back then, like, you didn't have to wear a visor in the American League. That's like all these guys are wearing visors in the NHL now because they grandfathered that rule in. But he obviously was wearing one to protect his eyes. But when it's time to go time, hand it over to the trainer, take the visor off, do it like the men.
So true though. Before your first one, Biz, and then you have the like adrenaline of waiting till the shift happens, and then you look and he's doing that. It's like, oh. Even if you're faking that, if you're Gavin Morgan, you're ahead. You're step ahead.
I think I got a cramp. I got a cramp. Trainer, go down the tunnel. Abort. Oh, I love it. I don't know how we got there.
It's Chiclets. That's what we do. We fucking ramble all over the place. Now we're going to ramble over to the East. Lots to talk about in the East this week, Biz. The big news, Buffalo Sabres once again, but they actually did go and fire Ralph Kruger after the team lost their 12th straight game. He went 36, 50, and 12 during his tenure in Buffalo. Don Granato was named the interim coach with assistants Matt Ellis and Dan Girardi. The team lost their first game with the new coaching staff, so they're 0-11-2 in their last 3.5 weeks, just 2 points in that time. Sabres are the first team since the 2005 lockout to have multiple winless streaks of 13 or more games. They also had a 14-game winless streak back in the 14-15 season. We've been beating this dead horse, so obviously it's news. We got to talk about it. But have either of you guys ever been on a team this bad or even close to this bad?
I don't even think I'd let him in the fucking Chiclets pond hockey tournament at this point. Right? I mean,
they got the
Ralph Kruger must have had a little bit of relief, right? He's making, I think, 3.75. So at a time next year too, and at a time when everyone's just making zero money. These teams are they're just, what is the word? Siphoning money, RA? Is that the word?
Siphon is when you're taking it from somewhere else.
Hemorrhaging,
there you
Biz.
go.
Boom, Biz.
+2.
Love it.
Biz's dictionary. Cranking it and chucking out words.
I needed a bounce back performance after last pod, boys.
Yeah, you've had it big time. You were humming. What was I saying?
Hemorrhaging.
Ralph Kruger.
Oh yeah, so like, you don't want to fire a guy, then you're going to be paying him next year. You're already losing all this money. I mean, obviously 3.75 is nothing to the Pagulas, but still, if you're Kruger, it's like, oh my God, thank God. Thank God. I can't keep answering these questions. This is a hopeless situation. I don't know what they do there besides start over. We can't keep saying it. I feel bad. Kruger, I think there's a step. Go ahead, Biz.
Kruger treated himself to a timeshare in Hawaii as a celebration to get the fuck out of there, guys. This is as ugly as I've ever seen it at the National Hockey League level, and especially coming off a lot of disappointing seasons in a row. I don't even. It's hard because like I'm sure a lot of them are looking from the inside, like, guy, like what do we do? What do we do? And I don't really see it changing for this year. They're going to have to be able to address things in the off season, but I don't know.
Hey,
it's what?
It's Monday and the game hasn't been played yet. If they lose this game, if you look right now and it's early in the morning, you just started listening, driving to work, check the score app. If the Buffalo Sabres lost, that's 14 in a row, which ties the longest losing streak in the shootout era since 2005. And I don't know who they got after the Rangers last night. I don't know their next tilt. But when will they win a game? And I just feel for the guys on the team. I mean, having been through a tough situation, it is and I was in a tough situation when on the road you could go out and still have a blast at least. Let's blow some steam off, guys. We're in Chicago for an extra night. We can't get a win. Now you're stuck in the hotel COVID. So if it's a bad year to be a bad team, this is times 10.
I'd be getting the hookers and blowing in the fucking hotel room if I was the Buffalo Sabres at this point. Now, it's gotten so bad, Grinelli wants to chime in.
Well, I was just going to say, do you think if the Sabres get the first overall pick, Owen Power, he's going to be a stud defenseman in the NHL. Do you think that's more likely that Jack Eichel stays? I mean, there's a lot you can do with the first overall pick.
Before I answer that,
I don't know, but
Grinelli wanted to hop in, Biz. Let's maybe go back to the beginning of this when Grinelli made the T-shirts.
Oh my goodness, it is his fault. Oh my, we gotta sacrifice
you pretty
him.
much ruined the Sabres.
In order to reverse the curse, we're gonna have to give you to the Pagulas. We're gonna sell you to the Pagulas.
You're a sex slave for the Pagula family.
I'm sorry, Buffalo. I'm sorry.
You do Buffalo.
I don't think a big D-man who is, not a project, he's a great player, is going to have Jack Eichel be like, I got to stay now. Maybe if it was like a Connor McDavid type kid.
Yeah, I don't know. Last week I wrote a blog. Basically, I think they should have a hockey lifer come in who knows how to run a team. I mean, Kevin Adams, all due respect, he's a first-time GM. I don't know what his experience is, but I think they should have a guy like a Jim Rutherford, if not specifically him, who can just come on and just kind of rebuild everything. And
I mean, Jim Rutherford would be a great example, RA. But so here's what's hard is when something gets so bad, a lot of times the people who are that good usually wait out for a better situation, especially in the coaching department.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good coaches that would probably say, I'm not going anywhere near that.
Yeah, because if I get gassed again, then I could be done.
So Daryl Sutter made comments about it recently. He's like, no, he's like, there's people who want to coach, become lifetime coaches. Like, he's like, no, I want to coach teams that I think can win the Stanley Cup. And you can go back and read it. So where I agree with you, RA, is in order to people have also been throwing around Babcock. The name, hey,
yeah.
I mean, mine as well, right? At this point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, what they're going to do, I don't know if they're going to keep Granato. I don't know if he can even win this job. I was hoping they should have just put the GM behind the bench instead of fucking, I don't know.
Hey, get the season ticket, run a contest.
Yeah, they're pretty much turning into like the major league Cleveland Indians, like the guys in the stands that are banging the drum when there's 1,200 people and a 50,000. Like, they should start allowing fans to really get involved in picking the roster. The rest of the season, they should do auctions for you can pick tonight's lineup.
The key right now will be seeing what they can gain in assets for guys that they have. Somebody's been throwing out Reinhardt's name as far as trade value. He's another really good player who's been having one of the bright spots in that lineup so far this year. So, guys, we don't know. I know we've been ripping on the Sabres. On a serious note, it sucks. We never want to see organizations struggle like this because we know the fans are the ones who probably feel it the most, including the guys in the locker room.
And Sabres, that is
having a good.
That's a great hockey town. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
You're fine, buddy.
You're right, especially with this team because, I mean, they love hockey. They love the Sabres, and even if the Sabres aren't in it, it's always a market that's watching games. They deserve a good team. They deserve better than this.
I know what you had a little tweet storm the other night about a particular hit. Brandon Tanev on Jared Tenorti.
Oh my God!
I mean, he got 5 for Borden, game misconduct. You weren't happy with the call. Berkey wasn't happy with the call. I didn't think it was a penalty when I watched it. I know there was a replay later that showed he did come from across the ice, that if anything, it was charging. Did you think it was even charging, Whit, if you saw that replay?
If you're going to call anything, okay, call a charge. But you can't tell me, if you're a fan of the game of hockey for a long time, that you think that hit should be getting a guy kicked out of the game. I had people reach out, that's boarding. That's the definition of boarding. He wasn't even near the boards. Like, he hit him so hard that he ended up hitting the boards. But if you have a freight train coming, which is the game, dude, that Tanev, did you see how much ground that kid covered?
Oh my
he is an animal. He skates as well. I'm not going to say as well as anyone, but he's explosive and he's heavy. And he ran over Tenorti, who had his head down, who was skating up the ice. Like, dude, you're carrying the puck up basically the middle of the ice, inside the dots, and you have your head down and you got crushed. That is not a dangerous. Boarding is when the guys give Wilson boarding, right? When he got suspended for that hit on Carlo. That call, man, that is a guy who is bigger, faster, and stronger than the defenseman, who unfortunately was injured. That was the shitty part, and nobody wants to see that. No hockey fan is looking to see injuries, but they're looking to see intense physicality, and they got that, and unfortunately an injury happened.
Yeah.
There's no part of that hit to me that is like bad. Call it 2 minutes charging if you want to give it a penalty, but kicking a guy out of the game is bullshit.
I agree on that second angle. The most fair I can be on it is give him 2 minutes and then we're off and running. But Tenorti, it seemed like he thought he had that clear lane, because at the point where he got the puck, he was only a couple strides from the red line in order to get it and then get the dump in, right? The amount of ground that Tanev covered, no way Tenorti thought that he was going to be able to get there
exactly.
and hit him. And that's probably why it seemed as if though he didn't expect it. And he was nowhere near the boards. It was just an unfortunate fall, and at the angle that he got him at. And on top of that, he couldn't have hit him any more clean. His elbows were down by his side. I think he got him more like in the midsection than even in the shoulder even. So I think that's probably why the trajectory went the way it did. And like you said, a very shitty result. But the fact that they were able to review it and they still called it a 5 is what made my mind explode.
Imagine that was a playoff game. And if you look at, somebody could say to me, defenseless player. It's like, buddy, he's got the puck in the middle of the ice. He's looking up at everything in front of him. And if you've seen Duncan Keith or Keith does it, Keith Yandel does it a decent amount, where you get to the red line, Biz, and you stop on a dime and you dodge that hit. You know the guy's coming and you literally stop as you get it over the line and into the zone. It just very, very shocking to see a guy kicked out of the game for that hit.
Well, you just talked about it before, about the Suzuki play in overtime with TJ Miller. Yes, I know it's JT Miller. When he told him, because guys go after the puck now. Well, guess what? If a depth player like Tanev, although he may be playing second line there because of how good he's been since he signed that nice contract. If he goes for that puck and he toe drags him and then they go down and score a goal, well, then he's sitting in the middle of the bench, or he's got to feel all poopy pants because it was his fault. No, play the game the right way. Separate the man from the puck. He's in the middle of the ice. He worked hard to put himself in that position where he could make that hit. No penalty. Fuck off, new generation hockey fan. That's all I got to say about that. That too aggressive?
Forrest Gump. No, not aggressive at all. Speaking of the Pittsburgh Penguins as well, Evgeny Malkin, he was on a massive tear, 12 points in an 8-game point streak. He's going to be week to week with a lower body injury after the hit he took from Tenorti, which was the hit, the reason by Tanev hit him in the first place. The Penguins 13-5-0 since bringing in the Burke Hextall front office change, which is interesting. It seemed like that really got the team's attention without having to move anyone from the room. But Washington, they're probably the story for the last week or so. 7-0 they went without Tom Wilson, who was suspended. Caps have been absolutely red hot, but we got to give props to Ovechkin. He passed Phil Esposito for sole possession of 6th place on the all-time goal list when he scored his 718th. He's just the second active player with 1,300 points and the 35th overall. Joe Thornton's the other active player. He's currently has 720 right now. We got 2 more since then. Marcel Dion is up next with 731, and then Brett Hull 741. And Biz, 147 multi-goal games, tied with Gordie Howe for 4th overall. And then this tweet was from Friday, I think it was from Dmitry Filipovich. His last 10 games, he had 8 goals, 47 shots on goal, 94 shots again. 47 shots on goal, 94 shots attempted, goals in 5 straight games. But this Caps team is just rolling, Biz.
They're unbelievable. I watched that game against New York where they ended up coming back in the third period. It looked like it was a replay of the first goal. He ended up getting 2 that game, and you mentioned his 147th multi-goal game of his career, which is absolute banana lands. And he finds a way to score them in different areas. Both of those ones were right in front of the net, going to the blue paint. Now, there was another video that Pavel Barber ended up tweeting out that was pretty funny. It's like the example of when the remote control gets unplugged in video game, where he's just standing off to the side and he's completely straight-legged as if he's not even interested in the shift in his little territory there when he's waiting for the one-timer. How fun would hockey be, Whit, if you were able to act like that on the ice and there was no punishment for it?
You just want to stand there like a statue for a minute because you know if the puck does come to you, you're probably still going to get your job done. That's when you know you have life made.
Actually, there was another picture earlier in the season when there was like 4-on-4 in the corner and Ovi was still standing in that spot all alone. And I think it was Dmitry Filipovich who tweeted that one too. He's like, when you don't do anything on the group project, but still get an A. And he was off to the side. So this guy is just a freak of nature, continuing to get it done and scoring goals from anywhere on the ice. He is the Russian machine. The machine.
As you mentioned the whitewashing earlier that the Rangers put on Philly, 9-0. What's interesting is they did that with no coaches on the bench. It was the largest victory since 1986. The Rangers, 2 of the Flyers ended up a -6 on the night. Alain Vigneault, coach, said, couldn't defend and couldn't make a play. I'm truly embarrassed.
All right, I don't mean to.
Yeah.
Because some people might not know there was coaches on the bench. There was none of their coaches.
Ones. You're right.
So they had the AHL coach and then Chris Drury, who just hops on the bench. What can't Chris Drury do? Little League World Series, Rookie of the Year, Stanley Cup. Now he's a coach. So I was surprised to see that because Philly. I don't mean go ahead about the Rangers. Philly is Carter Hart. My pick. Philly was one of my picks this year. I think I picked them to win this division.
Yeah, you picked Wash to miss playoffs, and they've gone 7 in a row. And then I believe you picked Chicago to make playoffs. And since
no. I picked Chicago to not make the playoffs. Said they were brutal, and then said there's a chance. I only admitted there's a chance, and then they shit the bed.
Okay, well, since you said that there's a chance, they're 1-5, and they've been a rubbish.
And I said Toronto was great, and they're 1-6. So basically, now that I'm all over Colorado, they're fucked.
Putting the whammy down. Let's see what else. New York Islanders. This is bad news for them. They lost captain Anders Lee for the year. He tore his ACL in his right knee. He had 12 goals on the year, put him on long-term injury reserve. They can use that money, $7 million in cap space. Lou Lamoriello said, we're always trying to find a scoring winger, whether it's because of Anders' situation or not. Everybody is. That's not something easy to do. If we can, we will. The team has won 2 out of 3 without Anders Lee. He's expected to be ready for camp next season. Obviously a huge loss, but there was a nice story to, I guess, balance that out. Tommy Hickey played his first game in almost 2 years Saturday night. He had 2 assists in his first game since May 3rd of 2019. He had a bunch of injuries in the interim, including a concussion. He recently lost his brother Dan to cancer at just 33 years old. So that was a nice little feel-good story to see Tommy Hickey get back out there.
It was great. He was a high pick years ago, and I talked to Eberle quickly, who just said he's like one of the best guys going. Like, they were so happy for him, and the road he had with the injuries and his brother is just so brutal. And then you see somebody, he just come back, he gets the 2 apples, and I think what had happened was, I think while he was out, that's when Devon Taves really came on the scene. And, at some point you kind of lose your job a little bit, right? I mean, guy comes in, plays well, and, he moved on to the Avs. But this was a story that's like, for a guy who's played as long as he has and gone through what he did, losing his brother, so happy for him. That was great news. Islanders are a wagon. Jesus, that team's good. They lost the 1 game to Philly and then pounded them the next night, like you said, RA. And it's a great story, and it's a year when you're looking for more of those.
Yeah, he had a heartfelt Q&A after the game, and just really opened up about the last couple of years. Going back to the beginning of the podcast when I said that I think that Toronto might make a stab at Taylor Hall. Obviously, this injury and knowing that Anders Lee is going to be out the rest of the season, this makes the Taylor Hall move make even more sense. I know you mentioned it last podcast. Are you very confident you think that they make a stab at Taylor Hall? Because right now,
no, I'm not very confident. I just think that Lamoriello in his history looks into every single possible person that he could trade for. He just seems like a guy who would make calls on everyone to see who is available. Who could I make a run at?
All
right, boys. I think we should send it over to Ed Jovanovsky shortly. First, I do want to talk to you about Whoop. You've heard us talk about Whoop quite a bit. It truly is our favorite fitness wearable. It's the fitness tracker that provides 24/7 personalized sleep, training, and recovery insights to help you unlock your potential. Each day it measures how well you slept, how recovered you are, and how much stress you put in your body from both your workouts and going about your everyday life. Dude, Biz, guess how many miles I walked the other day? I had the Whoop on. I tracked it on. Sunday I went out. Then I stopped at Fat Baby for a little sushi and a couple cocktails after.
I'm going to say 12 miles.
Oh, God, no.
Okay,
no,
sorry.
6
Okay,
miles.
Hey,
though.
fuck, that's a lot.
Yeah, had to get out. It was a nice day out. Had to get a little exercise in and a little Fat Baby as well.
Congratulations, though, all right? Fucking right. You're buzzing.
Yeah, thanks, guy. Trying to get a little bit more in now. The nice weather's here. But either way, Whoop is worn by some of your favorite athletes in the NHL and on the PGA Tour. But it's not meant for just the professional athletes. Whoop can help anyone improve their performance by providing personalized, actionable data to help you make smarter decisions. The Chiclets boys have been wearing our Whoop for a while now, and we've had a little competition going between sleep and recovery. Of course, I'm one in the sleep category. Once you're on Whoop yourself, you can create a team with your buddies and make sure to chirp whoever's sitting around and falling behind. Whoop has helped me get smarter about the way I train and has made me much more aware of my body's sleep and recovery. Right now, Whoop is offering 15% off when you use the code Chiclets at checkout. So go to whoop.com, that's WHOOP.com to join now. Sleep better, recover faster, and train smarter this year and beyond with Whoop. Once again, that's whoop.com, code Chiclets for 15% off. All right, boys, on that note, what do you say we send it over to one of the best nicknames ever, the Jovo Cop?
Let's go.
It's a pleasure to welcome this guy to the show after all these years. He was the number 1 overall pick by the Florida Panthers in the 1994 NHL draft. Went on to play for 18 seasons, including playoffs. He played over 1,200 games, tallied 530 points for the Panthers, Canucks, and Coyotes. He also made the all-rookie team, played in 5 NHL All-Star games, and won gold at the World Junior, the Olympics, and the World Cup. These days, you can catch him on Fox Sports Florida doing game analysis for the Panthers. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Ed Jovanovsky.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jovo Cop, Biz.
One of the all-time great nicknames.
Decent career.
When did that one come around? Junior or NHL?
That was my
14 years old.
Chris Moore, actually. He was our radio guy in Florida my rookie year. Get on the bus. He's like, Jovo. I'm like, what's up? He's like, I got your name for you. I called you Jovo Cop on air tonight. And it stuck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. So
You were obviously wearing 55 at the time.
I was.
Was that part of it? Like you monitored the speed limit, or somebody said, was that it, or no? Or am I just being a clown here?
No, all those kind of came, in the future. I think for me, it was just something that he threw out there. And I made a couple bucks from it.
Yeah.
Some T-shirts, some hats.
Yeah.
Couple trademarks.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now, RA just mentioned Fox Sports. How are you enjoying the TV intermission stuff? Are you into that? Florida's having a nice season. Makes it easier.
It does. And Wits, I think for me, being out of the game for a few years, it was just getting tiresome.
Yeah, you missed
so
it.
I wanted to kind of get back into hockey. And for me, this opportunity came up. Sean Thornton reached out to me, asked me if I had any interest doing it. Yeah, it's fun. It's not as easy I thought it was. You go on live TV, there's a lot of moving parts. So once, you got so many thoughts and you got great valid points. Once the lights go on, it's like, shit, I didn't use any of the stuff that I was thinking of.
Yeah, and you're staring into the lens.
Your partner's talking, you don't want to look at him. You look, hey, camera 9, Jovo, you got buzzing in your ear.
Oh, that's the panic.
But I'm enjoying it, and you're right. Team's playing well this year, so it's fun going to the rink, seeing them succeed, and just hopefully they can keep it going.
He's got a big old notepad, and then the camera goes to him. He's just like, they're like,
I've done
Jovo.
it. Right. I've done it with Todd Walsh on TV, where he's like throwing it to me, and I had the best idea coming to the rink about what I was going to say, and then I'm like, Walsh, I completely forgot what I was going to say on live TV, Jovo.
Right.
Have you ever had one of those?
You know what? The guy I work with, Craig Minervini's pretty good, and he sees when I'm going to fumble fuck. He jumps right in there and saves me. So, But it's amazing how good these guys are because there is a lot of things that they're throwing out there, and they make it easy for me. And I guess in our position playing the game, we just want to be insightful and let the fans know, because Florida's a different market, right? So you're still kind of teaching the game, and you just, the question I was told is explain it as why is this going on. So where a lot of markets, you don't really got to do that. So, but it's been fun. I'm enjoying it.
I just remember, like NHL Network, the only thing for me that drove me nuts was almost the opposite, where I'd be talking and then in my head it's like, you've been talking way too long, and you just have this like self-consciousness of like, shut up, and then you can end it like awkwardly because you were buzzing along and it just comes to a complete halt. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, it's like anything, right? I think as you move along and you get more experience, what you find is the same in hockey, less is more.
Yeah.
I think once you get to the point, say what you need to say and then stop, because once you start rambling on, you're just kind of...
That's when the memes are made.
Just kind of, then you start making fun of.
The hamster wheel gets going. Let's dive into your career. Born in Windsor, Ontario. What was crazy to hear when I was playing with you is I didn't realize that you started playing hockey at such a late age. Didn't you start playing hockey at 11 years old?
I did.
Never skated before that?
Well, I skated, but I never played organized hockey.
So 7 years after your first game, you were picked first overall.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Why was it not like a part of your life at 8, 9, and 10?
My dad played professional soccer in Europe, so when they came over to Canada, I was just playing soccer. So it was, I played street hockey and skated on the ponds and public skated, did all that. But as far as playing hockey, it was really something I wasn't craving at the time until my brother started, and that's how the whole thing
Watching him?
Yeah, he went, he was playing, and I was kind of working the door, his doorman. And then I said to my dad, I said, listen, Dad, I want to start playing. He's like, sure. So sure enough, he signs me up and, start playing for this club. I think it was Shoppers Drug Mart at the time. And, it was crazy how it happened. I would go to my first practice for this house league team, and a guy comes to my dad, and he said, hey, is that your boy there, the tall one? And I was like, yeah. He's like, does he want to try out for the travel team tomorrow? My dad's like,
He's never played.
This is his first time actually playing organized hockey. So my dad tells me I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm like, yeah, I'll try out. So sure enough, I make the team. That's AA team. And as we move forward, then, the following year I make the AAA. And then...
So it was so quick.
It was so quick.
Were you really good off the hop, or were you actually like, oh, man, I don't know about this? Like, not trying to
really good. I mean... I think I skated decent. I think my size was in my favor. I was a big kid. But no, as far as like knowing the game, and I just had fun. I think I worked harder than the guy next to me.
Yeah.
And I knew that, I love playing. If I'm going to play this, my parents are going to sacrifice a lot because they didn't have much. They did everything for, us to play hockey, and I wanted to make the most of it. And then all of a sudden, things started rolling, started really seeing signs of improvement. And before you know it, I'm playing junior B, then I'm drafted by Windsor, and then it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah, this has been a minute.
I have an agent now? What the hell's going on?
Agent? What do you mean agent?
I went from having a Timbits jersey for a Shoppers Drug Mart jersey to now I'm getting on stage at the NHL draft.
When you were playing soccer before hockey, were you like dummying guys out in the pitch? Similar to your hockey style?
Not really. It was, playing, I think I was a center forward at the time. So just like any kid, you like scoring goals. And, but yeah, I was still, even in soccer, being the tallest kid, out there. But it wasn't something that I knew at that age of taking guys down and being aggressive.
Were you D right away in hockey?
I played both. I played forward when I came out, and then I had a coach that said, here, you got some size, let's try you on the back end.
Yeah, what a move by that guy.
Right.
So were you drafted by Windsor?
I was drafted by Windsor, so it worked out pretty good. Kingston was actually picking number 1 that year, and I'm like, oh, shit, going to Kingston. No, Ottawa was picking number 1. Alan McCauley went to the 67s, and then Windsor was picking 2, so I got to stay in my hometown.
Oh, that's so nice. I mean, just makes such a difference, right? I'm guessing. Did your brother play in the O2? You said your older brother was.
No.
Okay.
No,
I didn't know
he played, rec hockey.
Yeah.
So you get end up getting drafted by you had Shane Parker as a coach your first year, and then you had Mike Kelly, who I played for in North Bay. So you played 2 years in the O, and then you were gone. Like, as far as your development there, like what were the teams like? Like, did you right away? Did you feel comfortable playing at that level? Like, how did that all go down?
It was an adjustment. I mean, going from junior B, I think you're a 15, 16-year-old. You're playing in junior B. You're playing with 18 to 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I think as far as the physical part of the game, I handled myself. Definitely the pace was something that was a lot faster, something that you need to adjust to. But I don't know. I think it was just ready. I think once I came into Windsor for the Spitfires, I think it was one kind of right from the start. We had a veteran team that really helped us young guys along, and it was just clicking. I mean, it wasn't a huge point guy, but just played hard, got in a few fights.
Yeah, you were fighting a little bit then.
Yeah,
right?
it was. So I think I had like close to probably a couple hundred penalty minutes, my rookie year in Windsor. I think I had like 45, 50 points. So,
That's big time.
And it wasn't, I wasn't an underage pick. So I went to my draft as an underager, and I sat through those 3 rounds in misery.
Oh, you actually went?
I actually went because there was rumor that, I was going to be taken at some point. Not first round, possibly second, maybe third. And I sat through that, and it was tough. So, what does that make you do? It makes you go back, work harder, and see where you fall. But it all worked out for me, especially staying in Windsor, getting to stay home with mom and dad, standard. Yeah, there's not a lot of changes, so it worked out well.
And I'm imagining the OHL then. I mean, that's what, 93, 94? Or no, earlier?
Yeah, 92, 93, 93, 94.
So old school hockey, you're talking like there's a lot of fighting going on. It's way different than current. So that was just something that maybe came natural to you, but you also were like, this is what you do. I'm a hard-nosed physical defenseman. I'm fighting.
Right. And Windsor had the small arena, right?
They did?
The corners were almost square.
Yeah. It was hell.
So you take 2 strides from the blue paint, and you're just hammering guys in the corner. But yeah, it was, I think
tough league, right?
It was a tough league. Yeah, the guys were, I think there was definitely a lot more fighting than there is now, obviously, but. I remember one, we were fighting, I don't know, it was a playoff series. The guy ended up taking my helmet off and started pounding me over the head with my own helmet. And I'm trying to think of his name, but it'll come to me. But
Miles.
So I'm assuming he connected a few times if you can't remember his name.
Yeah, I know, that's a scary.
I got him back. I don't remember who it is, but I got him
we
back.
had DJ Smith. I played with DJ. We had this guy, Adam Young, and myself. I remember we were all in the penalty box versus Sioux in Windsor. Somehow or another, we ended up, in a big fight in the penalty box. So 3-on-3 in the penalty box. Kind of hence why they got the glass there now, But it was crazy times. And I mean, something like that nowadays, you're getting 15, 20 games for. It's crazy. So
you're getting arrested.
Right, exactly.
You won't see your $50 a week checks if you got something.
Ours were 40. You got 50?
Well, they took 10 away to put away for the end of the year. They try to make us smart with our money. That's how it went. So we would see 80
That was your 401k in the O.
Well, I lived at home.
$180.
I lived at home, so I actually collected a little bit more. I got the $200 billet check.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. So how early on in that second season were you like, there's a possibility that I go first overall? Or are you just trying to be as like hyper focused about the hockey side of it and trying not
that's a possibility, I'm guessing, though. You start hearing the rumors.
Well, you know what? I was actually drafted after my first year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because you weren't picked
right.
in that first.
That's right. That's
so
right.
I was drafted, at some point obviously when these central scouting rankings come out, I'm like, shit, man, why is my name's like in the top 5? I'm like, what the hell?
This is unbelievable.
What's going on? I just started playing hockey last week. It's like, and so then you're like, you're really like, shit, man, this thing, I'm gonna be drafted. It's a foot in the door.
I got a shot.
But by no means, and say this honestly and sincerely, that I had no idea that, I was going to go number one. I mean, it never crossed my mind that, listen, I got an opportunity or a chance here to go number one. I wanted to work as hard as I could to put me in the best position to be drafted. Just wanted to play in the NHL. And as we got closer towards the end of the season, now the rankings are getting a little bit more firm on kind of where they rank guys. And kind of throughout the year, even the second, third, and fourth rankings that came out, I was always in that top 3 group.
Yeah.
And
it's just such a good feeling seeing that. You're just like, all right, well, I at least have an idea where I'm going. And I guess throughout the year, if you say you don't know, come draft time and your memory of the draft, the night before, had you already figured out that Florida was going to take you?
No, and I don't think, now it's clear cut,
yeah.
Right? You guys are, and you can almost bet your house on it, on who's going to go number one. I think for me, with Ottawa, with Florida, Anaheim, and Ottawa picking 1, 2, and 3, those are the only 3 meetings that I had. The night before you meet go through your draft meeting. But heading to the draft, until my name was called, no idea.
That's crazy.
No idea. So if
that
you
rush.
kind of see them, and my son keeps pulling up that draft video when I got the
How was your suit?
Double-breasted suit, gray, baggy.
Pop it up on the
NBA draft suit.
But it was like the sigh, because it was just like it's like, oh my God, shit, man! I just got picked number 1 overall by Florida, and I think it's something you can't take away from anybody, right?
And now it's so different. Where first overall picks, they're in the NHL pretty much no matter what. And you went back to junior. Was that the case right away, or did you think for maybe a little bit I might play this next season?
Well, I had a great camp, and I feel that I was physically ready to play. The lockout happened, so that kind of sent me back.
Oh, no shit.
And,
that was that year.
Right. So I went back to junior. I played in the World Junior Championships. We had a stellar team. We had Dag. We had all these guys, Todd Harvey, all these guys that came back during the lockout. So I had fun doing that. But, yeah, I mean, you want to be drafted. You want to play right away. But, for me going back, I think it's
probably
get that other – right. And you see a lot of guys in today's game that aren't just ready. They're a high pick, and you almost can feel like that they need a little seasoning.
Yeah.
And maybe we see that a little bit with Lafreniere this year. I mean,
and Hughes too. And Hughes too. And he's
right.
looked a lot better. But it's
this year has been better.
But now that's what it's almost good. You just went back and you're saying it helps, because now it's like, I have to be in the NHL and doing what these guys did.
Right.
It's like it just adds this pressure that makes it way more difficult. I
right.
think.
I think you're playing with men. I mean, it's just a crazy. I mean, for being a teenager, you're playing against guys. I mean, you guys know. Playing against men.
Yeah.
It's so different.
I mean, it's just it's got that old man strength there, just kind of tossing you around. And for me, that extra year I felt helped.
Your second year at Windsor, you averaged more than 40 minutes a game playing.
What?
40. That's I read 2 articles that said you were playing 40 minutes a game.
maybe a few nights, but I don't think I was averaging that either.
There had to be a lot of power plays if you were doing 40 a night.
Yeah,
No.
I double-checked. I read in 2 different articles. That's why I wanted to ask you about it. I mean, you must have obviously.
Can you lie about it and tell our fans that you did?
It was 43. Right? It was 43. 01 was the final tally.
That's a little high.
All right,
For sure,
humble
30,
guy.
You were a horseback there.
It was it's close to 30. It was not unheard of it for a.
Were you using that short, really stiff stick back in junior?
This guy's twig.
Let's talk about it. If I had $1 for every time he'd look at me going up ice and doing the wrist curls in practice, because we'd be about 15 feet apart and you would zip them. NHL passes.
Him and Pronger were the snappiest passers in the league in practice, and they just look at you. NHL pass, bud.
It was a mini stick, and it was about a 120 flex.
My last year, I went to a one-piece. I think it was like 110 or 115, whatever they make them. But I was always taught to pass hard. And a lot of people ask me this question, and, in practice, why did you pass hard? I said, well, I always pass hard because I wanted the puck to get to the guy quick. And usually when I passed it hard, I never missed. When you kind of lollygag or try to make a nice sauce to someone, it's either going to go ahead of him or the guy's not going to catch it or whatever, throw it in his skates. Until in Phoenix one time, I passed the puck hard, And Gretz blew the whistle. He's like, come over here. He's like, check the highlights. See if I ever pass the puck as hard as you. You don't need to pass the puck 100 miles an hour, Jovo. You know, you can make a soft little finesse pass to someone. So actually, Gretz is the first guy to ever tell me, listen, you don't have to pass, the puck that hard. But
well, not many people could have said it. Gretz is like, I could say this to fucking anyone I want.
Right. But as kids, we grow up, you do everything kind of hard, and it's just something that stuck with me throughout my career. I didn't mean to break your stick or make fun
or
of
my
you.
confidence.
Or yeah. Hey, listen, if you can't take a pass on your backhand,
it's my fault, Jovo.
Right, buddy.
No, you got to be able to figure that out.
And then I went to the weight room and I did wrist curls the rest of my career, and that helped me with the fighting.
That's why you fought, because Jovo passed it too hard that you realized you couldn't deal with the puck. All right, so Florida, you come in rookie year, just this insane run, the year of the rat, and you guys go to the Cup Finals. Like, you had a great regular season and a pretty sick playoff too. Like, you had to imagine this is just the beginning. And everyone says, like, you go at a young age to the finals and you take it for granted. Was that kind of you? I'm like, you were probably thinking, I'll be back.
Right. Yeah, everything kind of came, our team was made up of a lot of guys that were, left unprotected. So it wasn't really a star-studded team. We had Van Beesbroek in net, who was obviously a big difference.
Mellenby, right?
Mellenby and Stu Barnes and, Brian Skrulin was our captain. And it was a meat and potatoes team, and we found ways to gel at the right time. I think heading into the playoffs, we had a nice little run and knocking off Boston, Philly, and Pitt in Game 7 in Pitt. I was like, what just happened? Crazy. Tommy Fitzgerald with the shorty. And then getting the finals and really get taken to us by Colorado.
That team was
great Colorado team. But yeah, you're a teenager still, right? And you're like, shit, I'm going to be back. I'm going to have this opportunity to do it again. And we had great teams in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
That felt that we let, a couple years slip by. But, yeah, you never know when it's, you go to kind of, guys have great careers and never get a chance to kind of play in the finals or have a chance for the Cup. So, it was
pretty sick season, though. Where was that? Where was the arena then?
It was in Miami.
That must have been awesome, right?
Well, it was awesome. We didn't know any different. Shit, if the rink was there now, what we know, I'm sure guys would be living in South Beach or
probably actually a good thing.
Right. I remember after games, and our parking lot wasn't attached to the arena, so we had to walk through, the Seekers right to our, our parking lot. But it was kind of right on 95. Head back north and 45-minute drive back home, and
so everyone
everyone lived north. I don't think one time in 3 years that I actually went down for a bite to eat in Miami after. Just didn't know any different.
That first Panthers team, like you said, very much a gritty veteran team. How did you blend in? Did you just kind of get there and keep your mouth shut for a while as a young guy?
Pretty much. I think you go on there, you want to learn, take everything you can in from these guys. And
who was loud in that room?
Oh, man.
Like Tommy Fitzgerald, was he talking a lot?
He wasn't talking. Like, Screwy was always the guy. Come in, hey, Jovo, what did you do last night? All the same stuff. Right? He wants stories, stories.
The old guys love him.
Yeah, the older guys love him, But we had Rhett Warner, who a good buddy of mine, and Radek Dvorak was another rookie. So, we'd hang out together. But as far as, it was different. It's almost like you hear the pregame meal stories. It was like that. It was kind of like let everybody go, and then we went, and we didn't say much as rookies. We spoke when we were spoken to, and we just went out there and played hard and tried to give that group as much enthusiasm and jump as we could.
Your first year, didn't you have to go to the store where you legit would buy the whole room to furnish your place? Remember when I think.
Oh, no. I went to Rooms to Go. rooms to Go, and I had like this 2,300 square foot townhome that I bought. It was my first home. Bought it. And went to Rooms to Go, and I furnished a whole house in an hour. I spent
Give me that
$50,000. I furnished the whole house. I furnished the whole house in an hour.
Hey, the person who helped him at the store is like, this is the jackpot.
Oh, yeah.
This is the golden goose. I met him.
Right. Yeah. So it wasn't like, nowadays, okay, let's concentrate on this room. And then, let's see how this room really kind of fits our needs. It was just like, I like that, and 3 bedroom sets and it's over.
Yeah. Dunzos.
Furniture's TVs.
And I wanted to hop in about the year of the rat. So during the course of playoffs, at one point they made up a rule where if the fans threw it, they were going to give you guys a delay of game penalty, correct?
Right. This was, I think it was at least it could have been 2 years post that playoff series because it was a joke.
It was like 10 minutes.
Like, it was a joke. I mean, and
then they'd go get like the Rats back for the next goal.
The Rat Patrol. You get the Rat Patrol out there scooping up.
Resell them.
Yeah.
Weren't they throwing them at Patrick Waugh too?
Yeah. There's that one great picture of him kind of tucked in under the net, and the rats are flying. But it was something that obviously the story of Mellanby hitting that. So it really something that took off. That the fans had.
Well, tell the backstory behind the rat thing, because a lot of our listeners are young and they have no clue what the fuck we're talking about.
We're before the game, and Miami Arena was old. It was the bowels of the. It was a dump.
Were the Heat playing there?
The Heat were playing there too, and so we're sitting in the locker room, and all of a sudden you see this rat, a good sized rat.
Probably took a flight from NYC, came here for the winter.
Right. And then Scott Mellanby, who was closest to this rat, kind of one-teed it and then just quite make it. That night he had 2 goals. So the story came out, they got a rat trick. And yes, obviously the fans picked up on it. And then the next game, we score, and all of a sudden there's like, what the hell's going on? It's raining rats. And it was just something that, continued and kind of went away. And then when I came back in 11, started doing it again. I was like, oh boy, but they've gotten better at cleaning up, the mess. It's nearly not as many as it was before.
As it scaled up by like the end of it, how many rats were being thrown on the ice after the first goal?
Well, just think. I mean, you got that rink was 14,703 was a sellout because I just every game it'd be a sellout in that rink. It was great.
Regular season too.
Regular season. My 3.5 years there, it was sold out every game.
Awesome.
So just think, every person a rat at least. Someone's throwing a rat. Gotta be
any real ones,
like a teddy bear.
Any real ones. I was sick puppies up in the crowd.
Who knows?
So you actually saw Mellanby kill the rat,
right?
Oh, that must have been pretty wild. Just fucking one time in a rat across her frickin' room.
Yeah, and then you didn't know that it was going to turn into a phenomenon of throwing plastic ones.
I want to ask, when you broke in the league, you still had to make your bones back then and fight guys. Who was your first scrap with in the NHL?
Brendan Shanahan.
And you got hurt? Did you hurt your hand?
Yeah, I broke my hand.
Fuck, you picked a big dog to go first one with.
Right. Yeah, and I remember it was behind the net. It was with Hartford at the time. And, it was a long fight too. But I remember when the fight ended, I just got this sickness in my stomach. And I looked down at my hand, and my knuckles weren't in the right spot. So I missed the first 11 games. I had surgery. I missed the first 11 games of my career. With that fight with Shanahan.
And then that year came back and still fought plenty, right? You weren't worried that the hand was solid after the surgery and everything? Right?
Yeah, I wore the protective covering, over it, and then, you're not allowed to fight when you got tape on your hand. So I said to the trainer, I said, listen, man, I'm being challenged out there, and I got to answer the bell at some point, So, it was healed up, enough to, to fight, but.
You had the big dong on it, like the football players, just clubbing guys.
Right. The glove had and I think I wore the Louisville gloves that were they were probably 7-8 pounds of glove,
Oh, they were long too.
Long leather, heavy gloves. And then, with the added plastic on top of that, and then, the plastic and the tape on your hand. It was just got to be enough. The time is right when you can take it off, but
you were ready to go.
I was ready to go.
So I guess the next big thing in Florida was the trade. You were only there 3.5 years. Did it feel like they were kind of quitting on you a little bit? I know it was a huge blockbuster. They were getting Pavel Bure, but were you a little disappointed that they were cutting ties so soon?
I was, I think for me, my daughter was 6 months old. And I'm like, shit, man, I'm getting traded. And you couldn't trade me like as far as you can go.
Yeah.
So I was actually having dinner, and 6 o'clock, Brian Murray, calls, he's, hey, Jovo, we traded you, to Vancouver.
Was it summertime?
No, it was January.
Middle of the season that year.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, great. So he's like, yes, you'll get contacted by someone to, for your flight information, this and that. So someone in Vancouver calls me, said, yeah, you got a 6 a.m. flight in the morning. So from 6 o'clock, dinner time, I'm on a flight 6 in the morning. I fly to Dallas. Iron Mike's the coach. I played 29 minutes back-to-back with Nashville. So we got Dallas, Nashville, All-Star break. So I played 29 in like 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, here we go. Iron's going to play me like crazy. I'm going to be his protege. I'm going to be his guy. This is
amazing.
He's either going to make it or break it. Unfortunately, he didn't. He was the 2 games with him, and then
that was it?
He was let go, and then Mark Crawford came in.
Oh, yeah. Another tough. Well, I mean, I would imagine that you ended up getting along pretty good with him, but so all of a sudden, like just a whirlwind. You get dealt, you get the fucking 29 minutes, you have All-Star break. Coming back after that, like, did you, how long did it take for you to gel with that group?
Well, I mean, you guys all been to Vancouver, so I got traded there. I think the first 19 days, it rained. And I'm driving over the Lionsgate Bridge a lot, and I'm, at some point you're just thinking about stopping right in the middle of that bridge. But listen, I mean, going into any locker room, and you guys know, guys are great. I can rarely say I played with a kind of a dink of a teammate. I mean, all the guys I played with, mostly good guys. So when you come into a new situation, they go above and beyond to make sure you feel comfortable. And that's what I did. I mean, Bert was there, Marcus Naslund. I mean, there was a lot of changeover. Brian McCabe was still there.
Did he get dealt that year or the next year? Or is it even longer?
Shit, I don't even know. Yeah. I don't even know when
there are a lot of young good
Stevie
players.
Stevie Steos was there, so we had a pretty good veteran. Trent Klatt, these guys. So it was a transition. It was different coming, from Florida, now going to a market where, hockey's everything. But at that point, Vancouver sucked. They weren't selling out. It was, kind of a rebuild time for them. And then started seeing improvements as the years went along.
Yeah, they brought in Messier. It was a huge deal. He was named the captain, but that just didn't work out for whatever reason. How come it didn't? If Messier is a great leader, new team, and didn't. I
played with Mess. I think the 1 year. I think he was already there. At the time. I don't know.
Okay.
I think sometimes things work out. I think when you think of Mess, it's almost like the Oiler, and then with the Rangers. I think this situation...
It's 20 years of doing it.
Right.
Had you ever seen a guy come in and just kind of essentially run the show? Because, it's like practices, like if Basie Crawford's looking at him, oh, yeah, optional kind of thing, right?
Well, I don't think he was...
He was with Keenan, right?
Oh, was he?
He was with Keenan. He might have overlapped with Crow, I think, a little bit. But you know what? You hear the story. I don't know. Maybe I was just oblivious to it. Maybe I don't know. I didn't really see it. What I did see with Mess was with his equipment. Him and Alex McGillney were like crazy guys with their equipment. With Mess kind of moving the tuck part, drawing a line on the boot and having the trainer move it over, a little bit. Wearing 2 different skates in practice. I mean, just crazy. Just always wanted to kind of, feel better. And this is the first with Alex McGillney I saw. It was in the stick room, and he was always in the stick room screwing around with his sticks like he didn't score enough. He took a wooden stick, cut it, shaved it down, and put it into his aluminum stick.
So it wasn't an attachment blade.
No, it was one player's wood stick. He cut it and shaved it enough where he can shove it into the hosel.
That's when you're trying everything.
Right. And then, and back then you're torching everything. You can smell it all around. And guys were just so, crazy with their equipment. But
I think, too, the longer you play, the crazier you get.
Yeah.
Because it's like you've just been doing it for so long, and then if things start to feel a little bit off, like the story we've brought up on Chicklets before is Wes Waltz. Like he literally retired, I think, because he couldn't get his skates to feel right anymore.
Right. Yeah, I heard the stories with him, but never played with him.
Yeah.
You had a skirmish with Shane Corson. You guys get sent to the locker rooms. He actually comes in the Vancouver locker room. What were you thinking? You look up and you see a guy you just fight with on the ice in the friggin' locker room. He ended up getting suspended for it, too.
Well, sometimes on the ice, shit is said, both ways. And, I didn't like what he said, and he obviously didn't like what I said back to him. And then before you know it, we're both kind of kicked out, and he's in my locker room, and we're going toe to toe in the locker room.
Are the trainers in there?
It was like I don't know. It was, you have the hall police, in there, guys that security guards that
Blart.
Yeah, aren't gonna do much, but it was a crazy situation. I believe he got a few game suspension for it. But good guy, same thing. I mean, just at the time you're kind of competing, and things are said that he didn't like, and escalated.
Yeah, I guess so.
Do you want to get into the Olympics?
Go where you want. I got other questions about Van, but go right ahead. No, I think that one of the most underrated, underappreciated players of all time is Marcus Naslund. I just remember some of the seasons he had. I know he had 100-point season, but right when you went there, it was pretty evident this guy was a way better player than maybe even you thought, being in Florida, so far away from the Canucks.
Yeah, I mean,
just an all-timer.
Yeah, and a good guy. Just. I don't know if he's Swede or a Finn. They never met a bad one. They're all great guys. They all like to have fun, but Marcus was one of those guys. Yeah, you can see the potential there, and he didn't even have a snapshot. He had the wrist shot.
Yeah, he did.
And I remember on the power play, win the draw, drag it to the middle.
He'd loop up.
Marcus loop up and boom, short side all the time, and but he was. He wasn't underrated after a while, where guys just recognize him, and I think that, and he also produced in the time where the checking was a lot, tighter. I mean, he was always, these guys with Bert, Mo, and Nazi were just always seeing the top lines, and when these guys were rolling, they were tough to stop.
And he finished, I think his last year in the NHL, he might have had 25 goals, and he went back to Sweden.
Right.
He probably still could have kept doing it. I don't know. I mean, if you were still in touch with him then, but what a career.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was always a guy that kept up with his fitness.
Yeah.
And I think, some guys just kind of have enough, and I think Marcus had, like you said, he finished with 20-plus goals his last year. And I think for him, just kind of wanting to stop at the right time. He was a real big family guy, and I think he wanted his group to go back to Sweden, raise his kids there. And but he was a great teammate.
Yeah.
First and foremost, he was a great teammate, good guy to be around, and we had some fun.
You got to see the Sedins up close and with their sorcery and what they do. What's something about those guys maybe a lot of people don't know, because they seem like pretty low-key, quiet guys. Were they kind of low-key funny in the locker room or something?
Yeah, they were always low-key. They weren't loud guys. I still, for 3 years, playing with them, I still couldn't fucking tell them apart. I swear to God, it was just and I have twins,
it's
obviously,
crazy.
boy and girl twins. But these guys are identical twins, and but yeah, quiet guys. Again, guys from Sweden, really quiet, shy.
At the beginning, though, they weren't lighting it up, right? Could you tell?
It was
though?
oh boy, it's who's going to get crucified for this? Moving Berkey, But you can see it in practice. Some of the things in a game are different, right? But you can see it in practice. These guys were going to be a hell of a player.
All right, so the guys on the team, it was evident. It's a matter of time.
Yeah. It was a matter of time for because you can see it, and it doesn't always translate into games. I mean, it's something, I think, a maturity level too for these guys, and I don't know what it was, what year. It was just the switch. These guys just turn it on and end up, you watch them in the corner cycling guys to death and the Sedin playing these. I'm like, holy shit, but they worked at it. I mean, it wasn't something that they knew that they had to make, those changes. They're going to be tightly checked. And they were so good at the give and go play. Oh, I mean, they're just that I guess that Twins kind of,
they share a brain,
right? You kind of know where they are. Like in some of these plays, the no look plays, and you're like, you might want to throw it to your other teammate there. Like, no, I know where my brother is.
Well, it went from like 2001. People were like, are these kids ever going to make it? And then 12 years later, one of them's taking off from the defensive zone. The other one's taking a slap shot for icing, but he's getting to it first. It was just, they were pulling stuff off that was just so fun to watch.
Playing billiards out there.
Right. And good guys.
Yeah.
Good guys. And they were great in the community, and they, it's good to see them have the careers that they did.
I was going to ask about the Olympic year. We talked about your draft year, kind of, not knowing and trying not to focus on it too much. Were you well aware that you were going to be on that squad, or did you have to go into that season knowing that you were going to have to fucking be at the top of your game to get a sniff?
Well, I was on the list. Summertime you go, I don't know where I think we went to Calgary and we did, some sort of kind of walk-through camp. So it was on the radar for the group. I started. It's something that I really wanted to be a part of. I think with Gretzky running, a thing to have you picked by Wayne to represent your country in the Olympics, was something that I wanted. And it had a good start to the year and
getting that call must have been
Steve Tambolini, actually, who was our assistant GM at the time, was part of that front office group for the Olympic team. So he called me, and told me that I'd be picked for the team, and I was like, man, I was just so excited to be, part of that group. Because if you look at that team, you're like, holy shit!
Oh my god, like Lemieux,
it was unbelievable. Iserman and all these guys, and so it was.
What was the D? It was you, Pronger, Niedermeyer, Adam Foote,
Brewer, and Blake.
Rob Blake. Oh my god! Good luck.
Who'd you play with mostly?
I played with Blakey when I missed the first game, right? So I was a healthy scratched in the Olympics. I remember Brian Burke calling me and said, "Listen, Joe, say the right thing. You'll fold towels if you need to fold towels. You'll get your opportunity." So sure enough, they got waxed the first game versus Sweden.
Country's panicking.
Gretz gets on the platform and it's like, listen, everybody settle down. You got under control.
It was his Esposito moment.
Right.
72.
Right. And, I got back in the lineup and just wanted to make the most of it. I didn't play, crazy minutes to start, but as the tournament went on, I started playing a lot more, and most of the time was with Blakey.
I don't know if you were on. I'm guessing you weren't on the ice because Pronger made the pass. But when Lemieux lets that puck go through his legs, and it was at Sakic or Correa
Correa.
It's like that's one of the most memorable hockey plays I can think of. I mean, at the time, did you realize how crazy that was?
At the time, no.
Yeah, it's the game, middle of the game.
Things happen so quick, but something. Have the wherewithal to. I guess these guys thought at a different level too, as well, right? So, to see that play kind of just. He definitely faked out a bunch of guys on the ice, obviously. Probably his own teammates too, but Korea waiting, they're on the other side of it. So, but just seeing these guys, I remember walking in the room and Stevie Y would always be like doing crossword puzzles. It's just like, like us, we came in. Right?
I'd be telling stories from the night before. This guy would be exercising his mind.
Exactly. So, same here. You go in there, you shoot the shit with the trainers. You do your thing. But, just seeing this kind of for the first time, because I never played with anyone that I walk in and started doing crossword puzzles. Stevie Y is the first guy that I, saw do that. So, but it was a great locker room.
Because there's so many strong personalities and guys who are first ballot Hall of Famers. Like to try to even understand the dynamic of like who's the one talking and who's the one
alpha.
Who's the alpha? Because they're all alphas,
right? And I think you get into that scenario. I think everybody's. It wasn't like a rah-rah room, and it wasn't one guy kind of stepping up and kind of taking charge. I think, you know, when you look at that team, a lot of the damage was done guys performing and doing, you know, and at the right time, you know, finding ways to help your team win. But
was there one moment to where you were like, holy shit, when maybe somebody spoke up in that locker room at any point in time? Like, is there anything that could stand out to you from that experience in the locker room?
Not really.
No panic then.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there wasn't any panic. You know, there might have been panic from the country itself. Wayne put that to bed pretty quickly.
Yeah. Was Brodeur in the net for?
Yeah.
Gold medal game, right? I don't remember actually. Did they switch goalies, or am I thinking of when Luongo?
Was it Cujo and? Yeah, it was Brodeur.
I was thinking of 10 when
Belfour?
Brodeur and Luongo came in, and there was
man.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay. I'm putting you on the spot.
This
there,
is like
Jovo.
when Stevie Y's doing the cross where he's like, Jovo, what's a 3-letter word for citizen on patrol? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I remember trying to do crossword puzzles because so many people were doing them, and I got one, and Mondays was the easiest. Couldn't get one, and I was like, what is going on here? I thought these things would be a breeze.
Right, you're like at the crossword puzzle, and then at the bottom they got the answers. You're like,
I was more of a Sudoku kind of guy.
I'm sure you crushed Sudoku.
Do you not to glance over Vancouver, but do you think that going to Arizona had a big part to do with the fact that you'd proven yourself and Wayne had been a part of Team Canada and seen that?
Well, you test free agency, right? So I think, you know, for me, it was always, you know, the rules were different now, right? Where guys...
You weren't as young then, right?
Right, I was 31, you know, so I think for me, you know, heading into free agency was something that I always wanted to experience. And there was many teams. I just, you know, Arizona had a decent team. You know, you look at the team when I signed there with the, you know, veteran group, it just obviously didn't work out. It fizzled pretty quickly there. But it was somewhere there I thought I had an opportunity to win.
What was it like having Wayne as a coach? I mean, like you even said, like they had some veteran groups and they always seem to finish just outside of playoffs and maybe didn't gain that success. And I feel like
never got a high pick, really.
Yeah, they never got a high pick. I feel like he kind of got ragged on as a coach. Like, how was it being coached by him?
Well, I thought it was great. I mean, his passion for the game was there. You know, he really loved his players. He'd go to bat for them. You know, sometimes when you know, for Wayne, it had to be like so tough for him to watch behind the bench, being like, "What the fuck are these guys doing?"
How does he not see that guy?
Holy shit! You know, but we had, you know, Bodker, Turry, you know, young guys. Where Wayne was a young guy and played. So then again, I mean, you look back and we talked about guys being ready to play. I mean, Kyle Turris and Mikhail Bodker weren't ready to play. You know, I think just situation, these guys were high draft picks. They're thrown in the fire. And I think they probably regressed the first couple of years until maturity took over and they were better players. But yeah, I mean, Wayne, we just at the start we just started bad and just continued bad, and when you get into that, it's just tough to you. Good luck getting out of it, right? You're done. You're out of the playoffs by Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I heard that at one point he came in the room and he was just like, "Guys, it's 5-on-3. Like, how do you just not put the puck in the net?" You have two
but
more.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Like, you have two more guys, boys.
Well, I watch hockey today, and when there's a 5-on-3, I'm expecting 99.9% a goal.
If you don't score, you shouldn't win the game.
Right. You know, so
you don't deserve to.
Wayne just, you know, did so many great things, and I think he sees the game. Obviously, he did see the game in a lot different way than, you know, most players do. It just didn't work out, you know, I think for the coaching there.
I mean, you played so long, so you can ask you about like different generations, but you saw the game completely switch after the full canceled season, whatever, 2004-5. For you to come in, you can't hook, you can't hold, you can't pick for your partner, like, because you were going along for 10, 15 years where it seemed like you could just straight up take a guy out of the play who was forechecking.
Can opener.
Right. And skating was always kind of
a strength of yours, at least.
Strength of mine, so it was always like, okay, I got to make sure I'm in the right position where I don't do this. But yeah, there's been many a times where you're like, how are they going to call this? Like a love tap or whatever the case may be. But the rules changed and it killed a lot of players.
Oh, there were some older
guys that just were done
right away.
And if you need to adapt and, make changes or work on whatever you need to work on, I mean, this was an area where the league wanted to get more pace in the game, more offense. So, I mean, what do I like better? I mean, we all like the pace of the game the way it is today. But some of the plays where looking at some of the questionable calls, you just hope that they even up at the end of the night.
Yeah. And like a guy like, I always think like Darian Hatcher, awesome career. He had 12 years and then that new league came and
right.
It was like, see ya.
Right.
He still had the physicality, but it's like you had to be able to keep up. That's when a guy who could skate like you, it's like, all right, it's not as big of a deal. It's still different though.
Well, I started really, towards the latter part of my career when all my hips were going.
Do you have 2 fake hips?
I have one, yeah. So, and I played with one. I actually came back and I played 40 games with it. But I remember I was backpedaling and Nathan MacKinnon was coming down on me. Oh boy. He was at the blue line. I was at the top of the circles.
They're like, get gap, Jovo.
Like,
shut the fuck
I'm
up.
like, gap up. Yeah, there's no chance. And I knew at that point, I mean, your passion for the game was there. Your excitement was there, but, the legs weren't there anymore.
And also the grind of having to get ready for games, too. I remember you used to be cruising around with heat packs all over you, like the fucking...
At noon.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, you know what? I always was a guy that loved coming to the rink early. But you know what? The last couple of years of my career, it was literally table to table. I'm like, what am I doing?
I know.
It was like, okay, I'm gonna get my, initial kind of rub down. I'm gonna go to that table and I'm gonna get, stretched, and then I'm going to go get ready, and right before I go on the ice, throw some Red Hot on me.
They're like, what spot are your back? Everywhere.
Yeah, low back, your groin, and then halfway during the game, I mean, it's kind of sliding. Now your nuts are on fire. You're coming in. I mean, it's crazy the shit that we'd go through, to get through a game. And but yeah, towards the end, my body was just kind of had enough.
How's the body now? Like, are you dealing with stuff, or is it actually pretty good? I mean,
well, you got another hip surgery coming, don't you?
I was supposed to get my right hip replaced on early December, and then with COVID and everything, I'd have to be there extended period of time, and I just wasn't ready for that. So,
but that's hurting right now.
It's hurting now.
Yeah,
I can't tie my shoes or
no shit
bend down, and yeah, it's one of those things that we kind of go through and pound up. And I always remember, as a player, when you were a little bit sore and you had it checked out, it probably needed to be fixed, but I was always told, you're good.
I know.
You're good to go. Tape an Advil to it. Throw a heat pack on, throw an Advil on it, and
I'll crush a Voltaren up in your smoothie post game.
Yeah, right. So, but it is what it is. You know what? The league's been great to all of us.
Yes.
It's something that we sign up for.
Yeah. No, go right ahead.
You actually went to Germany for like plasma therapy. Did that work at all? Did it help at all?
Well, when I went there, his name was Peter Whaling, and I researched him through. He was he worked on Kobe and Ray Lewis and almost this regenerative stuff. So I went to him. I spent a week in Dusseldorf. So he would come in, he'd do he'd inject you twice a day for 5 days. So I went there, had that done, came back, was feeling great. Someone went inside, outside on me, and I ended up in the corner, and I knew I had to get my surgically fixed. But he told me my hip was like a 65, 7-year-old
No shit.
When I went there, he goes, he gave me like a 20% chance, but at that time you'll take 5% if he can avoid surgery. So
I wonder, maybe you know, but I'm guessing not, like how many players played in the NHL with a fake hip? I mean, for you to do that, it's like, that's pretty crazy. I mean, it's such a high like level speed sport. It's one thing to do it in golf, to play in the National League.
Well, when I went to New York, I bounced around to a bunch of doctors. I went to Vail, saw Philippon. I saw Dr. Bird in Nashville. I went to Dr. Kelly in New York, and he's a hip prevention guy. So he's going to fix your labrum to prevent to what I have today. He's like, go around the corner, buddy. You can see my partner. Your playing days are over. And I'm like, oh shit. I played, over 1,000 games at the time, and it was a long career. So I wasn't floored. But I knew that hockey was everything to me, and I wanted to play. So
tough to hear.
Long story short, I go see Dr. Sue, and he kind of threw this hip resurfacing at me. So it's not quite a hip replacement. Okay. They actually they dislocate your hip. They shave down the femoral head to probably the top of that Spittin Chiclets bottle or the Pink Whitney bottle, and then they clean out your acetabulum, which is your socket, and they put the new ball on the at the head, and they put a new socket in. So you have your underlining bone, but you have a metal hip and socket.
It's like some crowns,
kind of what
basically where you
did
have
Kessler get the same thing?
He had the same, and I had talks with Kessler. He called me about the procedure. So sure enough, I have the surgery and I feel great. I go the tedious rehab. Hip is, you got to get the glute firing, your quads.
And you got no ass.
Yeah, pizza box ass. So I started feeling good. And I asked the doctor right before when I started skating, I said, what are the risks? He's like, really no risk. I mean, you snap your femoral neck and then you get a total hip. So I said, what's the pain threshold
of the snapping of that?
Snapping the femoral neck, so he's like, listen, Ed, the socket we put in, it's a big one. Your joint is big. You got grain bone density, this and that. So I went out and played. I felt good. Now I was scared. Getting hit, right? I'm like, fuck, is this thing going to blow up on me? But I'm like, holy shit, man, I can actually bend. I felt great. I'm like, this is how you're supposed to feel. Anyway, I played 45 games. And the next year, I got the call about the buyout. I'm like, I just came back with a fake hip. You can let me play on my last year?
Yeah.
Anyway, it all worked out. Everything worked out. But it was tough.
Pretty satisfying, I'm guessing, though, to come back from that and play again.
Yeah, I missed it so much. I missed the guys. I missed the locker room. I didn't know anything different. You're sitting around home and you're like, oh my God, you're pulling your hair out. Your kids are just driving you crazy.
It's not even noon yet.
It's not even noon yet. I'm like, God, so. Well, you know the drill, right? You go to the rink, you drop the kids off at the school. You're at the rink 3.5 hours before practice, and then you kind of sit around after, and so you're kind of your whole routine, and now it's gone, right? And they say it's like PTSD, and I never looked at it like that until like your whole life has been something, and then now it's been stripped of you. So you're like right, and we played a game where the excitement like.
The natural high.
You're right. You're not going to find something that, so euphoric on scoring a goal or watching your teammate, do something special or win a game. There's just nothing you can duplicate that other than making a big birdie putt for the club championship.
Yeah, with Theodore, and it's just you two. You're like,
Yeah. But, it was, I had this thing in mind that I wanted to play till I was 40. And it didn't quite work out that a couple years shy, but it was a nice run. It was a nice run.
What do you remember of this clown right here? I'm pointing at Paul.
We had a great time together because I think that the expectations were so low in Arizona the year. This is the first year that Tip got there too. Like everything with Wayno. I don't know why the breakup happened. I don't know if did he get fired, Wayne?
I think so.
Yeah, or whatever it was. But then it was this group of misfits that, I think we were ranked 15 going in that season in the Western Conference. And we just had a galvanized group of misfits, and we ended up fucking pulling it off. And you were there for like 2 or 3 years when I was there.
Right. And when Tip came in, I mean, you can see, the structure kind of back from a coach that's been around for a while, and kind of reflected the way he played too. He was a third line checker, right?
You had more of a game plan, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I remember Tip was one of those guys too. The accountability was posted on the board every 5 games. So I mean, playing in Arizona, I mean, there's 2 guys covering it. One guy never put a pair of skates on in his life, probably. So you remember Tip, he would put these 5 game segments
This
on.
is how shit you were. It was the analytics and the numbers
Every guy.
So
you said the team's record and stats over 5. It was each guy.
So you couldn't fool your teammates.
Yeah, you couldn't fool anyone, and the accountability had to come from within the locker room.
And so that's how Tip kind of got his message over to the guys. But listen, I was being an older guy with these guys. I mean, I was in that where like Screwy was to us. I'd be asking them for stories.
Yeah, what's up, boys?
What's going on? But
Biz is like, how long you got?
We had a good group. We had a fun group.
You had a Jans who was starting to pop off and really come into his own,
right? And see what he's done over. Since I remember coming into Phoenix or Arizona and seeing Jans, and I'm like, this guy's a special talent. He made some minor adjustments to
his lifestyle.
He found a beautiful wife, and
he grew up a lot in a quick amount of time.
Right. And I think a lot of guys nowadays, I see, how big the reward is.
So much dough.
There's just so much, out there for these guys to have. And that's one message that, I was told as a young player, keep up, with everything, your nutrition, your working out, this and that, and play as long as you can. Because, man, it ends and it's like, oh, boy, where do we go now?
Yeah, I told before, Jeff O'Neill, I was talking to him on Twitter. This is while I was still playing, maybe not in the NHL, but kind of asking him. He was already into the media, and he's like, dude, play as long as you can. He's like, You can only golf so much. I remember being like, fuck. I was like, I might try to break that mold. I think I could play a little more golf than he imagines, but I still remember being told that from a guy who was done and just being like, wow, it does hit home. Keep it going.
Or you play a guy like Gomer, where it's just, the old Gomer. I played with Gomer. Were you in Florida?
Yes.
So
for a minute,
I told him. I actually said to Gomer, I said, "Were you serious when you told me this story?" He told me this. So we're lined up in Montreal, and this is when he just he would the fans. Or every time
he scored a goal in 100 games.
Every time he not even touch the puck, just step on the ice, they're booing him.
Yeah, it was.
So we line up next to him. I think we were shorthanded because I was lined up on the wing, and he's like, Jovo, when the puck drops, I'm going to expose my wrist, break my wrist. He goes, I had enough. He goes,
I'll pay your fine.
I'll pay your fine. This is the shit you miss, right?
There must have been so much more of that going on in your earlier days too. Like, what were some of the crazy fucking antics? Like Vancouver and your first trip in Florida must have been nuts.
My first trip back here?
Well, just like earlier on, I feel like these types of antics happen so much more in the earlier days where guys are so much more buttoned up.
Yeah, for sure, because there's so much, more to
exposure
get you in trouble. And, I think back then, you get to the hotel room, first thing that happens is the phone comes off the ringer. But I don't know. I think, listen, I think this whole social media thing, it's a great thing for guys to, get themselves out there. I wish I would have jumped on social media right when it kind of came out. I'm kind of old school that way. I kind of lived through my kids in that. But like you guys do a phenomenal job.
Well, Jovo, we appreciate it.
I finally grew up, Jovo. Hey, not too bad, eh? Not the young buck with
that much. There's
pimples all over my back, telling stories from the night before in Scottsdale.
Right. Yeah, those were a good 5 years, in Scottsdale. We had fun and it's different, right? You're the weather there in the wintertime. You're playing in Arizona. Too bad the rink was, an hour away, but
you had Florida and Arizona. Both spots are just middle of nowhere.
The best place was Vancouver, though.
Oh yeah.
For me, I had great years in Vancouver.
Team was good.
It was it was an impossible ticket to get, after my first year and a half there. And the accountability, I think you were scared to be bad.
Yep.
Or you get crucified, the media. And it always kind of stuck with me, that whole thing in Vancouver. But we had great years there, and just playing in a hockey market, it's fun.
I was on a horrible team in a hockey market in Edmonton. Pittsburgh was as well, but it's still pretty sick because even if you win a game, you lose 4 in a row in Edmonton, you get the 1 win, everyone's happy and buzzing. It's the good news. Right. You're like, this is so sick. If only we could be successful, but...
I want to ask, the 05 lockout, you didn't play it all that year. Would you just take the year off, or were you hurt, or what was the story there?
Yeah, I didn't play. I got a call from Steve Tamblini, who was running the World Junior team, and I remember this clearly. I was sitting on the beach in Wailea. I was actually, it's funny because I was,
a couple Mai Tais.
I was having a drink, and this is where, the people would come around the pool deck. So I had someone giving me a neck massage, and someone rubbing my feet.
Already needs
talking to Tammy on the phone, and I'm like, but I haven't skated in a while, and it was just like, I'm going to go there and get hurt. Sure enough, what happened after that is kind of when all the injuries started happening. You miss a year, your body gets out of that routine, and. Yeah, but other than that, I just enjoyed my kids, at that time.
That one last one. Do you stay down here year round? Because it's hot as balls down here. It's only March right now.
You like the humidity, Jovo?
No, I don't. I don't. It's just, what I have the kids that are kind of in this area here, and I need to enjoy them because they're at their friends and they want to be around, and they're still, young enough where. You just kind of can't pull them away for, a while. But, as they get older, I think is definitely something I got to look at to get out of here in the summertime. Sure enough, you got to play golf at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And be done by 11 o'clock just to not lose 20 pounds.
All right, you should take up golfing.
Simple man.
Well, Jovo, we can't thank you enough, buddy. Best
great.
of luck with the TV gig. Any plans to maybe move on to coaching or maybe management at some point, or are you happy with just the TV and that side of it?
I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. I love the game. I'm watching a lot of hockey. Down the road, is there something that stay in hockey? I'd like to.
I think it's a good start where you're at now. You're just back into it and
right.
See
and
where
you're
it goes.
Kind of seeing all the games, and for me, it's just kind of staying in touch with what I've known my whole life, because I dabbled in a few things, and nothing kind of gets me going more than seeing hockey games and talking about it and seeing what a great game it is today, because it's every year it seems to be getting better and better, and the pace is getting and young players coming in, and that generation of stars that we have today, MacKinnon, McDavid, taking over from Crosby and Ovi. So it's good to see.
Game's in a good place. Well, thanks again, Jovo. You're the man.
Cobb, we appreciate it. What a career.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for all those free dinners during Mike Howdy's years.
My pleasure.
Huge thanks to Eddie Jovanovsky who's joined us. What a character, man. Seemed like a well-liked guy when he played. He's definitely a character hanging out with, interviewing. So big thanks to the Jovo Cop once again. Hey, gang, summer's just around the corner, and you know what that means, guys. Your junk gets a little stickier, but not when you're wearing Sax. You guys know we love Sax. They make the world's best underwear thanks to their patented ballpark pouch, which is basically a built-in hammock that keeps your balls in place. No sticking or chafing or irritation. Well, now you can get the same amazing comfort in your swim shorts, because Sax just launched a swim collection that was designed from the inside out. It's equipped with an integrated ballpark pouch liner, so you're supported and free to move. Plus, the material is super light and quick drying to reduce chafing and discomfort. I got to try a pair out down in Florida, and they were unreal. Didn't have the usual chafing that you get when you're walking from the beach back to the hotel room or the pool. And you got nothing to lose. That's the best part, because Saks offers a 45-day comfort guarantee. If you try them and you don't love them, you can return them. No strings attached. Your boys deserve better than having a fishing net in your trunk, so grab yourself a pair of Saks swim shorts. Use the code Chiclets, CHICLETS, for 10% off your first order plus free shipping. Go to Saks.com, that's SAXX.com, and remember, for 10% off and free shipping, use the code Chiclets. Go to Saks.com, SAXXX.com. These things are great, man. I got a few pairs of the underwear, and they definitely keep things nice and snug, what you need when you're an old man like myself.
Just coddling your nutsack, all
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, a little cradle on the man there. The Central Division, we got to talk about the Detroit Red Wings, or more specifically their broadcast. They were giving some love to the Whit Dog. The Whit Dog, I didn't know you had the record, Whit, for the being a team point leader, the latest into the season without having scored a goal. You had 31 games. You had total 24 assists. Well, Philippe Roenick was about to tie it. They talked about it before the game, and lo and behold, he scores a 190-foot empty net goal. That means Whitney keeps the record. What, Dog? Let's go to you for reaction.
I think it's like the perfect kind of description of maybe my career, in that there was a lot of promise. It was good for a split second, in that I had a couple big years, and then this stat, I was leading the team in scoring. So when you hear that, that's good, right? That's good.
31 games into a season, yeah.
Yeah, 31 games per season. You're leading the team in scoring, so that's the good. But then it finishes off with without scoring a goal. Like, it's like, yeah, dude, you're leading the team in scoring, but you're such a pigeon, you don't have a goal. So it was a little, I mean, not embarrassing, because it was definitely a good thing, but it was like, hey, dude, you don't have one goal and you play on every power play, and you got Hall, Eberle, and you're Nugent Hopkins. Like, come on, dude. So I remember getting the goal. I got the first goal of the season was in San Jose, and it was late in the game. I think we were down. I think it was a typical goal by me, right? Like, we lost 3-1 instead of 3-0. But I was like, oh man, now I'm on the score sheet. And then I got another one like real quick. And at that point, I was definitely having the best year of my life. And I was playing, and our team was really struggling, but I was, you know, it was a situation where I was probably like that year, maybe a number 4 on a good team, but I was on Edmonton, so I was the number 1. But I was playing awesome, and boom, that was the end right there. That's when I stepped in the rut in front of the net, nobody near me, and looked and took the skate off, and the tendon was on the wrong side of the ankle bone.
Oh,
boom.
That was the year?
That was the year. And that was it. And I never could come back from that one. So I did get healthy from the Pittsburgh ones, and I felt great. And I wonder what would have happened if I didn't get hurt that game. But that year I was flying. So all of a sudden, to see that kid like approaching like my record in quotations, because it's not really a record, I was like, oh my God, I kind of want to hold on to that one. And boom, he gets the late empty netter after people had tweeted me like, hey, they're bringing you up on the broadcast. Didn't we have Mickey Redmond on here?
No, we had Ken Daniels.
Oh, we had Ken Daniels. Excuse me, Ken. Yeah, so it was funny times to see finally get a goal in San Jose, and we lost, and then I got hurt. Suck it. It's just like a trip down memory lane tonight.
Yeah, it is.
This division, though, it's competitive as hell, man. Tampa, Florida, Carolina still have the top 3 spots. Columbus, man, they woke up. They're nipping at the heels. Chicago, I mean, even Nashville, they had their longest trip in team history. They went 4-3-1. They're not dead yet. They've won 3 out of their last 4. Dallas nipping at the heels.
I think it's a two-horse race. Two-horse race, RA. I think between Columbus and Dallas. Dallas, obviously, with games in hand. Surprising that Columbus has been able to do this without getting any production from Laine. Patrick Laine, 1 goal in his last 12 games. Now, I haven't been able to watch a lot. Now, I ask you, Columbus fans, are you still as excited about having this guy as you were before you got him, and now you've kind of seen exactly what you get? We talked about it, and I know Winnipeg fans saw it firsthand. This guy could be the best player in the world for 2-3 weeks, and then you might not see him for another 3. It's just the way it goes with this guy. So maybe that's a result of the kind of feud or maybe the the lack of trust that Torts has in him and his playing ability and not putting him in the situations that he should be placed in because there isn't any trust in him. I don't know. But nonetheless, they're getting the job done. And as far as Dallas is concerned, they got a lot of games in a condensed schedule in order to make some ground up to get that last 4 spot. But as far as those top 3 teams, man, that's getting that first place is going to be so key, because that matchup between 2 and 3, that's probably going to be the best 2 and 3 matchup in the league going into playoffs.
It's crazy to think that Florida looks like is just they're going to be in. You know, it's Tampa, Florida, and Carolina, right? And then the battle is between those two. And to think, like, before the season, nobody saw that. Well, we saw Carolina, Tampa, but Florida's been awesome. I'm so shocked by Dallas. I know they're making a little bit of a push, but I think Dallas is one of the most disappointing teams in the league so far.
Injuries
and the COVID issue and the goaltending, but it's like, oh, there was such high expectations going after last year's run.
I'll tell you what though, if they find their stride and they sneak in and they got Seguin healthy and Bishop's back healthy, that would be, I mean, their back end is so strong. You saw that play that Klingberg made the other night. He is continuing to play absolutely filthy. That could be the worst possible matchup for winning that first seed. So I guess in any case in that division, there's going to be no easy game.
Well, no, it's like it could be Tampa, Dallas first round.
Yeah,
you know, the only time in history, or I'm guessing the only time in history that 2 teams met in the Stanley Cup final, then met in the first round the following season. For sure. Somebody look that up for us.
Blackhawks 1-5 since your comment, Whit. Any comment?
Yeah, I'm a mush. We went over this episode. I'm a guy who says something and the opposite thing happens. So it's tough living that way. I believe me. I know I'm a mush. I know. So when you let me know, when you let me have it online, it hurts my feelings.
Yeah. The Hawks, they stumbled a bit, but they're still right in the thick of it. Tampa rolling right along. Vasi tied the team record with his 11 straight win as a goaltender. I want to ask you guys, Biz, Dallas is pretty much all white ensemble that they trotted out a few games back. What was your take on them?
The Stormtroopers. I love it.
The Storm, they look like this team in Strange Brew too.
It's a little bit more aggressive than the Vegas Golden Knights because they're so much more white. I was talking about this on the Terry Ryan podcast. I think it's such an advantage wearing white, especially all white, because you blend in with the ice and boards. And given how fast hockey is and how peripheral it is, I find that to be such more of an advantage. Whit, do you think that that's a silly argument? Like, I'd much rather be wearing white jerseys than dark jerseys. Because like when you're defending all white jerseys, like if you get lost for that split second,
but I look at it the other way where it's like, I don't know if I'd be able to see a guy on my team quick. Like, it might be a little difficult, like with the white ice, if you just get your head up and you're just like, oh, he's blending in with the boards and the ice. And this could be such a moot point. Is it moot or mute?
It's moot. The question is moot.
Fuck me, man.
You've been talking like me today.
You know what I got to do?
We have a brain transplant.
You know what I got to do? I got to go back to college. I promised my parents I'd get my degree, and I got to go back to college, and maybe I'll learn some more words, and I got to get that degree.
I think I have a better chance of completing the Tour de France than you do getting your degree.
What was your major? Communications?
Sociology.
Yeah.
I was in the College of Arts and Sciences at Boston University.
All right. Hey,
made
gang.
the tournament. Big time. Let's go BU.
We got a little word from our friends over at NHTSA. It can be a little frustrating, especially if you're in a hurry or running late, to find yourself at a railway crossing waiting for a train. And if the signals are going and the train's not even there yet, you might feel a little tempted to try the little sneak around across the tracks. Well, don't. Ever. To the naked eye, trains often appear to be further away and moving slower than they are. And they can't stop quickly. Even if the engineer hits the emergency brake right away, it can take a train over 1 mile to stop. By that time, it's too late, and the result is a potentially deadly crash. The point is, you can't know how quickly the train will arrive. The train can't stop quickly. Even if it sees you, it ends in disaster. Pretty simple, folks. If the signals are on, the train is on its way. And you just need to remember one thing. Stop. Trains can't. Biz, I can be serious when I need to, huh? With those ads.
Oh my goodness! Tracks. But
last week we were talking about fighting. The actual number. Well, this was going back a couple of days, up 42% over last season. TSN had a panel the other night with Dave Poulin and Mike Johnson, talking about they need to have a conversation and stiffen penalties. It's like, I feel like that's the same shit people have been saying for 20 years. Like, if the players want it, it's there.
What a
it's just
tired take.
It's so old, man. It's like, and even Poulin's like, I was a captain of the Flyers. I know it's funny coming from me. It's like, dude, it's no one is fucking asking to get rid of fighting except for a few randos on Twitter who fucking don't like it in the game. I don't know. I just want to bring that number up. 42%.
That was like the hot topic, for like a couple of years, and it kind of went away. And I guess it's probably going to come back. It's just something else to bitch about. And it's like, listen,
it's not going anywhere if the players don't want it to go anywhere.
It's in division right now. It's probably elevated for that reason.
Yes.
I will say, I do think that I think that teams might have been moving away from it because of this media pressure. Where I think that moving forward, that teams will get back into it. They will see the need for it.
I would really hope that guys wouldn't be making moves based on media pressure, but maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's even pressure there. I know everybody has topics they got to talk about, but what the reason they brought it up was because when Richie knocked out what's his name, Kyra there on Edmonton, he held him as he knocked him down. They brought up that as an injury, and then Ben Sherratt hurt his hand in a fight. But we know that most concussions don't come from fighting. It's like I said, I hate talking about it, but I did want to mention fighting is up. We're happy with it. We condone it. Yeah. We do get some terrible news that came out of Russia in the last week. 19-year-old player, Timur Faizutinov, he died after being hit in the head with a puck during a game. He was a defenseman on Dynamo St. Petersburg's junior team, and it was just like kind of a sort of a neutral zone dump. It wasn't like a hard slap shot, but it caught him in a vulnerable area. He collapsed to the ice immediately. He was treated on the ice, and then he went to a hospital where he later succumbed to his injuries a few days later. Awful news. You don't even know what more to add with it. Something like this happens. It's such a fluke thing, but we obviously want to send out condolences.
And it was so sad to see the video, and you could see how much pain the kid was in. It was just a horrific story. Rest in peace. That's the scariest thing you ever see,
Yeah.
You said it in that video. You could just see how much he panicked, and he was,
oh my God,
he grabbed his head so hard, and you're like, oh no, like what was the pain like as soon as he felt it? And to hear
so
that,
sad.
Because I remember it ended up going out on social media that he'd went to the hospital, and then obviously he was he in a coma at one point?
They said, they didn't say whether he's in a coma or not. Plus, with Russian media, you're not sure what source to go by. Basically, it said he was being treated in the hospital. So whatever that entailed, it's just a horrible story. And,
brutal, man.
We hate to see it. And again, our condolences to any family or friends who may or may not be listening, and can convey the word. We're terribly sorry to hear about it. So, and obviously, it's not easy to segue from out of that into anything else. I know Grinelli, the NCAA bracket came out Sunday night. As far as gambling on it, there's not a lot of hockey gambling going on. We did check to see if there are going to be any odds posted in the Barstool Sports book from a gambling perspective. They're not going to have any pre-tournament odds. They're going to check about game-to-game odds. Basically, there's really no licensed operators who offer college individual games. You can get odds at the beginning of the season, but who's your favorite anyways?
It's tough to root against North Dakota. Me and Rudy watched them play Denver the other night in the NCAA playoff, and they had an unbelievable comeback win. Shane Pinto, absolute pleasure to watch this season. They have Jake, Ryan, Whitney, Sanderson as well, who's been awesome. But I like our guy Cole Caulfield, American hero, and number 4 Wisconsin. They also have Dylan
women
Holloway.
and men. You think the women and the men double dipping?
Yes, I do. What a crazy ending it was in the
sick.
Women's National Championship. Holy shit, that was unreal.
Northeastern took the L. It was OT, right?
Yeah.
From behind the net, she bounced it off the girl's tuchus.
Yeah.
And
I haven't heard that one in a long time.
I love Wisconsin, boys. I love Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched that game. That was a tough break for Northeastern. I was pulling for them. My old classmate was the head coach, and actually, girl from my hometown was playing for the national championship too. But it wasn't meant to be. Tough loss for the Northeastern ladies. So, hell of an effort, hell of a season though.
One other team, Whit, I know you're not going to want to hear this, is BC.
Yeah,
BC
they're very
is a
good.
fucking wagon.
They could face BU to go to the Final Four.
They could.
So we'll see.
Spencer Knight, he is unbelievable. Alex Newhook, Matt Boldy, they are a wagon.
Shut your
Well,
mouth.
Newhook played for Team Canada at the World Junior, no?
Yep.
Isn't
Oldie
he a
played for
Colorado
USA.
Avalanche draft pick?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Shit,
I know.
fucking Sakic.
Team is loaded.
We had, you guys, I'm sure, saw the video, an all-time goalie goal celebration. Todd Scott of the Tri-City Storm. Just, I mean, obviously goalies are always going to go nuts. I don't think I've ever seen a goalie go this apeshit over scoring a goal before. He's fucking dancing.
It looked like
over
he
the
might have
bench.
won a bet with scoring that goal, which I would be going just as nuts. To score a goal as a goalie, like that is like so uncommon, and you have to be so quick and strong to pull it off. Like you never have. I guess there's certain times you could have a ton of time, but for the most part, you're decently rushed, right? Unless it's a full blown dump in, but then you still got to get it over everyone. So I would be just as fired up, but he looked like he just made some money.
Yeah, that was one of the best natural celebrations I've ever seen. Like he kept going, fist pump to the crowd, body checking the glass, over to the bench, through the head and knuckle line.
He's like, I'm living it up.
Yeah.
Hey, Biz, have you seen this Hotel Cecil documentary series on Netflix? People have been talking about for the last couple of weeks, tweeting about whatever.
No.
Crazy.
It's about the girl in the elevator.
Yeah,
My wife said it was horrible.
it was terrible, dude. It could have been an hour. Like
Yeah,
they waste
that's what
so
she
much
said.
time. They talk to these like internet sleuths, but all they do is like let them talk and say this stupid shit, like only like to like shoot it down later. Like the thing could have been an hour. Obviously, that they wanted to suck you in. Basically, this girl went missing. This girl, she was a student from Vancouver, Biz. She was staying at this Hotel Cecil, which has a sordid past that's located near Skid Row. You know, they tell you about all the, people are getting killed there and serial killers staying there. And this girl goes missing. And they can, kind of imply that like something nefarious happened. Well, you watch the 4 episodes, and I mean, I don't know if you're going to watch it or not, if it's a spoiler alert.
You can tell me the ending if you
basically,
want to ruin it for everybody.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give it away now. Basically, the girl went missing. And, everyone thought like something bad happened to her. Well, obviously, she died, so that was bad. But no one else did it. What happened was she was a bipolar, and she hadn't taken her medication, and she had a psychotic episode, or went into psychosis or manic, whatever the proper clinical terms are. And she was found inside one of the water tanks above the hotel, Paul. Like, that's why they thought like someone killed her and put her in like, the big water towers on the top of buildings.
Yeah.
They found her there like 2 weeks later, and everyone thought like someone killed her. But like they went through all the video cameras, they went through everything, and they basically she hadn't been taking her medication, because there's a video of her in the elevator, and all the online idiots are like, oh, there's something going on there. It's like, no, it's just a video of her to try to show you what she looked like, and everyone thought like she was conjuring spirits or some crazy shit, but no, she had a manic episode, and basically, like I don't know if it was a doctor, they theorized that like when you're in a person's in that state, they're just trying to hide from something, that something's chasing them, and they think that she just fucking kept going, and they're like, she climbed into this fucking water tower, which is like crazy, because I mean, nobody could have possibly killed her and carried her up there and put her in the thing. So they had to rule all this stuff out. And basically, for 4 hours, you sit there, you think the hotel had something to do with it, and it's like, no, the poor girl just had a medical episode and ended up fucking inadvertently killing herself. Yeah.
I find that's a pretty big theme nowadays with these like documentaries, as they drag them out to
exactly.
There's obviously a purpose financially for it.
Oh, of course. Exactly. They drag them out. And like I said, they have these people like giving these dipshit theories. It's like, dude, you're sitting on your couch, like, watching a video, and you think you're like a detective, and then they would just shoot the theory down later. But
I had something written down. Spencer Lee wins his 3rd consecutive NCAA wrestling championship with 2 torn ACLs.
3rd consecutive?
Yeah, it was his 3rd consecutive, and I guess I think he'd already had one torn, and then he tore one like 9 days prior to his 3rd. Did you have it written down, RA?
Yeah, I did. Yep, had that on here.
So you got beat up by Stortini, and he won the NCAA title.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I was going with it all.
Animal.
Yeah. Now I feel shame.
Yeah.
Where does he wrestle at? All right. You know what school he's at?
No, Biz had found the story originally. I'm not sure what school.
I don't even know either. I just saw the clip online. He said F excuses. And I said, okay, wish I could have had that mental toughness going in against Stortini, but I ate my lunch, and that was it.
The Oscar nominations came out since we last met. I don't know if you guys care, pay attention.
Juiced.
Yeah, no, I was pretty fired up. I'm no major surprises, I suppose, but
let me ask you this: how many for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Oh no, that was last year.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
All right.
No, they did change the rules. What's up?
How many for Braveheart?
For Braveheart. Trying to get me on that one. That was
how many with Gone with the
I'm
Wind?
chirping Biz already. I'm not trying to get you.
You usually tripping me. That's all.
Hey, Gone with the Wind. How many?
Actually, dude, the documentary, that's the list I was looking for. There's a documentary, Biz. You got to watch this. It's called My Octopus Teacher, right? I saw the title. I was like, what? I watched it, dude. It's incredible. It got nominated for best documentary. It's about a guy who he's going through some, personal struggles, whatever. And he lives in South Africa and he goes not scuba diving, snorkeling. Like he can hold his breath for like 5 minutes in the same kelp forest every day in South Africa. And he fucking, for lack of a better phrase, becomes friends with like an octopus. Like they kind of have a bond, but he's actually he's a smart dude and he explains everything as it's going on. So it makes sense. It's me telling you, here, guy's friends with an octopus. He sounds like a wackadoodle. But when him telling you, and when you watch the doc, it's unreal to look at too, Biz. Like it's definitely you want to spark one up.
So there's video evidence of him interacting with this octopus.
It's the whole documentary is 90% of it.
Was he romantically involved with this octopus?
No, this isn't like a Troy
fucking the octopus.
This isn't like a Troy.
He's just laying into this octopus every day. His wife's like, "Where you going?" He's like, "Snorkeling again, honey."
He's got ink dick.
No, it's crazy.
Why's your dick have ink on it? Tell me the truth. Are you fucking the octopus?
Like this octopus does things you would never even think of doing to me.
My dick robbed a bank and stole a money bag. I'm not fucking the octopus.
Well, my Octopus Teacher, dude. Check it out. It's good stuff. I mean, even just like on a visual thing, the scenery is unbelievable. The cinematography, because it's all underwater. Late breaking news story. UCLA has officially won their NCAA game.
We're Bitcoin owners.
We are officially Bitcoin owners.
Move over, Elon Musk.
I've been shit talking
him
for 5 months.
Owns a Bitcoin.
Oh shit!
That's awesome. I'm pretty pumped, man. I was, it sucked that I missed the boat, but I'm back on, baby.
Yeah.
Fuck go octopus.
Biz, I got one other one for you. I just started the show. I'm only a couple episodes in. A couple of my followers tweeted it at me. It's called 000. It's on Amazon Prime, and it's about basically about coke dealers. But
hey, I've mentioned this on our pod.
Okay, all right.
I talked about the there's an Italian cartel,
right, yep,
and the Mexican cartel, and it intertwines. It is great. That guy who's living in that cave. Oh, great actor.
Yeah, I forgive me. I forgot you mentioned it before because I hadn't seen it. That's why it didn't ring a bell. But it's called 000, and it's about like the mafia in Italy, the cartels in Mexico, an American shipper, how they're all involved in the shipment of like producing.
It's a fake movie or a true story?
It's a series that's I don't know if it's based on.
I would assume it's based on a true story at some degree.
That's a good question. I
believe there was an Italian mob. And I believe that there's a Mexican cartel.
No, there's definitely a Mexican cartel.
I believe shipping exists.
No,
so this has to be true. And I read it on Twitter, so it must be.
It is based on the book of the same name. Sorry, Biz.
Oh, you're good. Speaking of Twitter, I bumped that in there. 15-year anniversary this week of Twitter. Twitter.com, which is basically how this podcast started.
2010. So, yeah, it was around 4 years before I was on it.
Damn. Yeah.
Imagine what people were tweeting in those few years.
It started, I think, as some people tweeting like where they were going for lunch and shit, just to update people. That's kind of think.
Yeah, I think it was started. Yeah, you're right.
That's how I originally heard about it. I was like, that's stupid. Why would people be tweeting where they're going? And like, it's just like it sounds dumb. And then even Charles Barkley was ripping it on television. So I was very anti-Twitter until Scotty Upshaw told me to hop on it.
Yeah, I had to be talked into it too, but I'm glad I did. Well, I have days I fucking wish I did, but it's been good. It's been good in the whole long run.
Very good to us.
All right, boys. I think that should wrap up. We got a nice fat overstuffed episode this week, episode 325. I'm fresh out of stuff, unless you have anything else.
Oh, last thing I wanted to mention, RA, you actually had it written down, but shout out to Dick Hoyt, who passed away. And RA, I'm sure knows a lot more about him than I do. But just in reading the things, and for people who don't know, this is a Boston native, And his son, all right, what was the disease his son was born with?
Cerebral palsy.
Okay, so cerebral palsy. And when he was 15, he asked his father if he could help him run. I think it was a marathon or a half marathon to help somebody that was paralyzed at his high school. And his dad did it with him, and his dad pushed him in the wheelchair, and he wrote that he trained by pushing a wheelchair with like a cement block in it to get ready for pushing his son. And like he ended up running 32 or 33 Boston marathons, pushing his son Rick. And dude, he ran one of them in 2 hours and 40 minutes. He did 6 different Ironman triathlons with his son. My boy Kirk Minahan had a tweet when he passed away. For the swim portion, he used a rope attached to his body to pull Rick in a boat.
Fuck out of
for
here.
2 miles, and then 150 miles on a bike, and the 26.2 mile run, pushing his son. And like you can Google Google Dick Hoyt, and you can read about him, and just the most love you could see for a son who was just born with, shitty deck, right? And I was like amazed reading all the stories about him and to see what he did. And what he said was, there was one quote that his son said, like, he felt like so alive after they did one of the first races. And dude, this guy, he did it for his son the whole time, and he passed away. And what an unbelievable person. I never knew him, but read about him. And these are things that happen in different areas all over the world where there's like local legendary stories, people who are like so kind-hearted and so impressive, and like people that you can't help but root for and be awed by. And this was a guy in the Boston area. So the Boston Marathon was moved to the fall, but there should be a special presentation for him, I think, before this year's race.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you bringing up that story, Whit. That's awesome.
Well, RA had it written down, and I was like, "Oh, that's great to talk about him. That was good."
Yeah. Well,
yeah, they already have a bronze statue for the father and son at the beginning of the marathon.
Oh, do they?
So it's nice that
that's awesome.
They already had done that, while Dick was still alive. And it's, like I wrote a blog. We'll have Grinelli tweet it out from the account tomorrow when the show drops. But I said in the blog basically, like, this is one of those stories with that right when it comes, before the father passed, you just get teary-eyed because it was such a story about love. And this is the first time
every year they finished.
And this is the first time I cried about a Hoyt story because it was sad, because it was always such a joyful thing.
Yeah.
It was, they were literally tears of joy. And then this is the first time they were kind of tears of sadness writing about him. And, it was emotional to write it. But, just an absolute beacon of humanity, just a role model for every father out there. And Dick Hoyt will certainly be remembered around these parts forever.
Solid ending, and thank you guys for tuning in per usual. I know this is a long one, but we miss chatting with each other, so the once a week we just get gabbing. And I appreciate all the listeners, as we all do, and check out the new lids too. Have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.